Hi, everybody, and we are back for another One-Shot Wednesday here on Lead the Tale. I used to do a lot of one-shots on Wednesdays. Hi, everybody. My name is Anthony, but I'm happy to come back and do some more, and hopefully some more later on this season. I love doing one-shots. They are so fun. Part of the big reason why I even started doing streaming was to kind of learn new games, and every week it's always something new and different. And I'm really excited to play this one. This one's been in the work for a while, so hoping you enjoy it. You can find me on Twitter at PrainnthePlague up there in the Twitterverse, where I usually hang out and I stream on We the Tale on both Mondays and Fridays. But like I said, usually Wednesdays as well. So that's me. But before we get into actually what the game is for tonight, as well as what's going on, let's go ahead and introduce our wonderful cast before they get to their equally wonderful characters. In no particular order, we're going to start off with the amazing tech for tonight. Thank you so much, Weave, again, for hosting us, and this wonderful bastion and beacon of weaveness, Sam.
Geez, I mean, I don't know what else I can say after that. I'm Sam, go by Scribbly Penny, she, her pronouns on Twitter, where I tweet about anything and everything TTRPG related and feminism, basically. But yeah, I'm super excited. I love space horror. I love horror in general, and this is my fangirl moment. This is my first time playing with Colin, and I'm super excited. So it's gonna be a good night.
Yay!
Ready?
It is also my first time playing with Colin, and I'm equally excited
Right?
about that too. So I'm stealing that one. Well, since Colin's already had a bit of a shout out, let's go ahead and put Colin up here for the next one.
I like this pattern we're following of you have to completely fluster the person that goes after you before. So let's see if I can carry this on. I think I can pay this forward. Hi, I'm Colin. I go by they and he pronouns, and you would have seen me probably before on this channel, but streaming under the name Colonomicon because that's my normal handle. But now I stream under Six String Games because just in the last couple of months I started a game company with my best friend.
Woo.
And that's what I've been working on. We played Ray Cats last time, and I didn't get to play in Ray Cats, which was very sad because I had to work that day. So very, very happy to be with you guys to play a game that I almost ran this one months ago. I just remember that, and then it fell through. So yeah, this is cool. This is really cool to be back. And yes, my first time playing with Sam, which is very, very, very exciting. But also my first time playing with Nikki, who I've gotten to know and is fantastic. And I do hear a damn good podcast editor and has promised to show me a thing or two, so thank you for that. And if I've succeeded in flustering you, you should go next.
Sure.
For sure. Please, Nikki, take it away.
Awesome. I don't know if I can continue this because I don't really know Cat, but I'm sure you're amazing. And I'm excited to play with you based off just our role playing in the chat. But I'm Nikki, Beholdertonoone. I have 3 shows and way too many hours into that podcast itself, and I have 2 podcasts in the future, Dice Before Dawn and Sound Control RPG. I'm also the DM over on Awfully Queer Heroes for the Tower of the Soul campaign, which is deadly, flirtatious, and chaotic. So the best of all 3 things in one thing, and we just finished recording season 1, so very excited for that. You can find me here a lot. I'm here on Wednesdays very frequently, but I'm also in both the Shadowrun game on Tuesdays and Fridays, so you can find me on those. And this week I will also be in the Blue Rose game on Friday. So yay, that's all I got. So Cat.
Really excited for that Blue Rose game, as well as something else with Six String Games that I will probably talk about towards the end. But please, Kat, take it away, last but not least.
Well, I feel sufficiently flustered because this is, of course, my first time playing with everyone here, and I'm extremely excited. I'm very new to TTRPG streaming, so I'm very pleased to have this opportunity, and I hope to keep up with everyone. You can find me on Twitter, where I tweet about gaming, my day job in VFX, and whatever else sort of comes across my timeline that I think is interesting. And that's it so far. I haven't done this very often. I don't have the same list.
follow these people.
Safer that way. Safer that way. Save yourself.
Yeah.
Lest you end up here in the shadows under Soul. And before anything else, let's get to where we are, what's going on, and what's happening. So we're playing Shadows over Soul. We are playing a scenario known as Out of Stasis that comes with the quick start. It's a great starting scenario, and I highly recommend that if you're interested in playing the game, you play this. It is very like mass appeal heavy, and I think everybody would have something to relate to with this adventure. So essentially, the four of you are currently being awoken aboard your ship, the UT 389 Metis. The Metis has been on voyage for about 10 months now, leaving a port in Luna on your way to the Miskan Station in the Belt region. So, about 10 months in, you're ripped out of your stasis midway through the voyage, and to find these alarms and emergencies, you're being awoken, and things have hit the fan, although you're not sure exactly what's happened and why. Um, all four very different characters from very different backgrounds who all have some sort of connection to the ship in some way. But because you're coming out of stasis, the stasis process has actually clouded some of your memories, some of what you've been doing, and you're not really sure exactly who you are and what's going on. So you need a little bit of time to refresh before you get really much farther. This is a beautiful, brand new, state of the art ship from the Unitech Corporation. Now, you know that Unitech is kind of into some conflicts right now um, with a religious faction from Mars, along with some other planets, and you're hoping to avoid some of that and just kind of partake in the new technology, the new ship. It's got four spaces: a passenger space A and B, and a cargo space A and B. They are all kind of they're locked off from each other, and they spin very quickly in order to create a sort of artificial gravity. Um, Therefore, you don't have to be like, if you're kind of used to it, to low gravity, great. But even if you're not, this isn't so low, like such low amounts of gravity that it would cause you like medical issues or anything like that. We are sufficiently, however, far enough into the future to where DNA splicing as well as computer hacking of all sorts and varieties are um, common, not just existing, but common. Um, before we get much farther into what's going on inside the ship and what's going on with the emergency, let's introduce everybody's character in the same order that we did people introductions. So we'll start with Taylor. Oop, I think muted. So. Oh, well, Taylor is trying to find their
There we
voice
go.
right now after being locked in the stasis pod. Okay.
I've got too many tabs open and there's music and I don't know what's happening. Yeah. So sort of coming out of their stasis pod, looking around very confused, you see this very tall, muscular individual, cropped short hair, wearing what looks to be a stewardess outfit. They look down at themselves, kind of wiping away that residual slime that wasn't suctioned up after being taken out of stasis, and is just looking at the alarm systems that are going off. Very much confused because staff should have been woken up a lot earlier. So they're just kind of looking at the other pods, trying to count them, making sure that everyone is where they're supposed to be at. Very concerned.
One of the pods hasn't opened, but the majority of the other, in fact, all of the other pods have opened. And although that one is still a little bit odd. You do see a large collection of people hanging around in this, again, very state-of-the-art like deck with these passengers, and there's a healthy amount of life. Although you are correct, staff should have been woken up earlier than passengers, and it's strange that everybody seemingly was woken up at the same time. Um, and as staff, I mean, it's not procedure. Usually, when these emergency signals go off, staff should be awakened, especially before the passengers. So definitely something's off. Um, moving on, Jesse.
Jesse is already sitting up in his pod eating a burger. Um, Jesse, so Jesse's this middle-aged, grizzled-looking dude. He has like one of those noses that looks like it's been broken and then like rebroken in the other direction like several different times. So it's all sort of jagged. And he's well, he has like sweat-backed hair, but scars every which way. You know, big classic facial scar over the eye. And he sits up in his pod and just kind of like rubs his arms and flexes and like stretches his back out. And then looks around to see who else is awake, if anyone.
Three people near you take a look at you and say, "Hey, I'm hungry too. Where'd you get that already?" And like kind of on their coats, it says Tova, Jake, and Safa, right? And that's three different people who obviously look like they're starving, but you also notice that their clothes are kind of cut up, and they don't really look like they're the correct sizes. Like Safa is wearing a coat that's way too big for her, and Jake is wearing like two sizes down, so it looks like it's gonna rip right off his chest. Um, it's a strange view.
Jake, Safa, and Tova. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I was joking about the burger, but now I'm just gonna go with it. Because I was just eating a break anyway.
Of course.
He tucks it back into his vest. I went in with it. I didn't think it would still be good. Surprisingly, it holds up.
They're obviously very sick after the stasis, and they kind of look at you and they're like, Tova's like trying to keep it in, and obviously very nauseous, and was keeping it together, but upon hearing that you're eating 10-month-old burger, is very suddenly losing it.
Look, I don't remember a lot about who I am or why I'm here. That's just stasis sickness. You get used to it. But what I remember is that I've done this before, and I've learned that when you go into the pod, you bring a snack for when you get back out. It really makes the whole thing feel a lot better. You wouldn't be so sick right now if you just brought a granola bar.
Safa
No, that's not
responds.
how it works.
Safa's like, okay, we know where we're going, okay? We have the opposite problem. We know where we're going, but we're tired and we're hungry. So, listen, do you know how to open up these hatches? Because I can't. And Safa points up to, there's basically 3 decks in this passenger sort of module, passenger module A. The most bottom one being where the actual passengers were. The middle one, is like kind of the steward deck where the staff are. And then there's like the luggage deck. So all the way at the top with this ladder, you can see like this hatch that's like locked, and it has like some marks on it. People have been trying to like shoot it. It looks like there's some gunshots on this hatch. You don't see any guns and you don't see any bullets, but there's definitely some marks on it, and Safa is wondering how to open it. So
I have absolutely no idea how to open that. But another tip I'll give you. When you wake up early and you don't know how to open something, first eat your snack, then find somebody who does know. So, anybody know where we have, I don't know, an engineer or a scientist or a techie or somebody who knows how to work doors or something in one of these pods?
upon waking, Blake seemingly chimes in, or at least awakens to the sound of engineer.
uh, I not nothing about this seems right. We should have just woken up normally at Miskan Station, but I'm pretty certain I'm not an engineer, but I am in charge. What am I in charge of? Yeah, it'll come to
Sort
me.
of, Blake sort of dithers as the last pod opens, revealing Casey.
Oh, my head hurts. I hate waking up from these things. What were you talking about? Something about a door?
Tova, Jake, and Safa look at the newly awakened Casey and are like, "Yeah, right there. You know, nothing
Did you
we
try
do, we can't
pushing
get
a
it open."
button? Is there a button over there you can just push that says open?
Jake kind of, you know, is aggressive suddenly and is like, "I'll put a button in you." And
Ooh, don't
Tova and
tempt me with a
Safa.
good time, but no.
No.
The others pull them back.
What does that mean?
Unnecessary anger is a normal part of waking up from stasis. It's fine.
I mean, has anyone considered just asking the steward that's right here to open the door?
Just
Oh,
steward
am I gonna have to do it?
Well, I need to make it count first before we head up. I mean, the captain should be in the core of the ship if at least I think. She like looks at her hand where there's like
You
smudged
think?
ink.
Haven't you been awake? You don't
No,
understand. What is that noise right now? What exactly is happening?
What's going on?
We all just woke up at the same time.
Well,
yeah,
obviously,
which
passengers wake up at
isn't
the same
supposed to
time.
happen. No,
Do we know? Sorry, go ahead.
No, Taylor's just a stammering mess. Like, no, we shouldn't have all woken up at the same time, but we did. I haven't been. I woke up the same time as you guys.
This isn't in the protocol.
It's not in the protocol. The book doesn't say anything about this. When we all wake up at the same time and there's alarms going off, this is a state of the art spaceship.
All right.
Space.
Is there anyone
If
else who could be helpful who is up? I get,
Wasn't there one
Blake
pod you
sort
said
of
was
looking around
honorable?
for any other staff members.
Jesse?
Sorry, wasn't there one pod that you said was unopened when we all woke up?
Indeed, there is one pod that has not opened yet. The last two, or I should say, the people you haven't met yet who did awaken before you, a man named Manny and a woman named Helga. Again, on their names or on their coats or uniforms, but also on the actual their pods themselves, so you know who they are. Manny and Helga look over this pod, trying to get it open, and Helga is bashing on it, saying, "Doctor, my husband, he's hurt." Manny's like, "Whoa," like super nauseous, unable to kind of stand up straight, getting like mad whiplash. They seem to be trying to open up this last locked pod to help out with some of the stasis sickness.
Who's the doctor?
So it sounds like the doctor is in the pod.
Doctor's in the pod, says Dr. Kravitz on the pod.
Dr. Kravitz main lobby.
Would Taylor know how to open a pod? If they check the terminal or anything.
I'll say that Taylor will have an easier time of doing so for our first roll of the game. Or our first check of the game. And so, everybody, this is a card-based system. It is really fun. It's based on the Saga Machine engine. and is used for a wide variety of other games as well, made by the same creators. So Shadows is super fun for it and well served. This will be our first card-based check of the game. I would say that this is going to be probably a determination check. If you have anything that is helpful in opening, I will also allow that skill to be added.
No, I'm just thinking determination. I don't have much programming. Shoot. I don't know if you could see that.
Yeah.
Shoot. I have 7.
Nice. 7 is what was required, so you passed it when you had your determination. Your determination. You definitely crack that open. How do you feel when you doing it?
Yeah. So Taylor pushes past the crowd. Sorry, excuse me. Let me. If you just move away, I can get to the spot and help. They peek in to see the person's face before typing on the terminal in like this very halting manner, as though they don't quite know what they're doing, but somehow are lucky enough to hit the right keys. That there's like that gush of air sound that like intermingles with them sighing in relief as it unlocks.
The sigh.
Excellent.
I'm sure. I'm sure your sigh continues past a couple seconds but the pod is faster. It swings open and a body spills out. Um, Unfortunately, unrecognizable and covered in slash marks, claw marks, and other such indentations. This is a murder most foul with an unknown assailant. Um, could be anything or anyone. At this point, Manny and Helga start screaming, and they sort of lose it for a little bit as they collect themselves. Each of you remember a certain memory about yourselves um, that kind of takes you to the next level of where you're at. So we did a little bit of prep work beforehand, if you remember what those memories are. But if not, I'm happy to give some right now. So Taylor, you remember that there is somebody, you get this flash, somebody's chasing you. And for some reason, this person that's chasing you, you associate with 7 bodies and 7 faces. These faces you can't get out of your head. For the rest of the session, every time you blink, one of these 7 faces will appear as an after image. So this is really, really tied to you for some reason. Moreover, you know that as a steward, you actually had a little bit of leeway, and you brought a gun with you. You have a gun on the second deck. The code necessary to open both the hatch as well as the box for the gun is, and I quote, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Well, forget it.
A very secure steward.
Password.
Yeah, password. You're not sure why you did this. You would think that you'd be a little, more secure with this, especially when there's a gun, and you're not even sure if stewards are allowed to bring guns. Probably not. It's seeming a little strange to you, right? These things in tandem.
Protection. I'm sure it's fine. I feel as the body like comes out, Taylor tries to catch the doctor, only to like let out this yelp as they see the slash marks and the blood. But like seeing the face on that body, I would like bring back those memories of those other faces, and like that triggers the memory, as they just kind of quietly stare at it in shock as the other passengers are just like screaming before they collect themselves. Oh dear. I don't think. I would say doctor, but he's the doctor. She's gonna do the whole check thing for a pulse, even though she's pretty sure he's dead.
Unfortunately. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, he's quite cold.
You don't say.
Wow. Yeah. While they're distracted, I messaged you something, but I want to look at the stasis pod to see like if there's any signal or something that says like why we were woken up or anything like that.
Okay. Let's do an intelligence check for this one,
Just
as well as if
message.
you have any hacking.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I saw the message.
Okay. So I have 8 in intelligence. So do I just click the die next to intelligence and next to hacking?
Let's see. Yeah, works out.
So I guess I was supposed to roll hacking and then pick intelligence. Because I have 3 with hacking. But...
Yeah, it would add. But I mean, as it stands, you would get an 11, if we assume that that's how it would be, based on what you've already rolled, and the target number was 10. So you definitely pass it. What do you want to do with the pod?
I wanna. Just like look over and see like what my stasis information was. When did we wake up, and check some of the diagnostic codes, see if there's any warnings or alarms. And erase everything.
Okay.
Oh.
So Casey gets access to
them
it.
Knowing.
Yep, Casey gets access to it, and what to looks to everybody else, just clacking away. Only you know what you're actually doing, and you do successfully erase everything in the diagnostics.
Why would there be any sort of way for me to make a perception check to even just pick up on her actions while the drama with the doctor is happening?
I would replace it with fake information, though, to say I woke up at the same time, to say what it should have been.
Okay, so when you turn, what you're saying is that when you turn away, it's really like, oh, okay, here's the log, and then you sort of pass it out to everybody, including Blake. Blake, you do receive that report, but a combination of the report, who's handing it to you, as well as the dead doctor triggers your memory. You remember yourself actually as one of the Unitech scientists in charge of both developing this ship, but as well as some other project that was intrinsically tied to the ship as well. You forget exactly what you were working on. You're kind of middle manager, so they tell you enough but not too much. And you're a little wary of what's going on, but not enough to completely question it.
Yeah, so I think I could recognize pretty...
Sorry, go ahead.
No.
You can finish. I just wanted to make sure that everything seemed legit, like if there were any error codes or anything, because this does not make any sense. It really does not.
Sure. Yeah, and you're a crew member on the ship? Are you?
No, I'm a normal person. I just know how to read computers. So I was reading my
Right.
stats.
Hi, I'm a standard person. I am one person.
I am
Hi, I am
NPCA.
person. Real human.
No, I'm
I like
Casey.
human things like you.
You just saw me get out of the pod right next to you. Crew members aren't on this level.
Right, but this is I guess I'm just a little confused since this is a state-of-the-art vessel that was just released.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I'm just curious about your interest in the records, although this is helpful. Thank you.
I see broken things. I want to fix broken things, people and the computers both.
That's a bit of an overshare, but I guess thank you for feeling safe in this space to share that with us.
Of course.
Okay, where's my? I sort of pat and as I remember myself, I think I find whatever like Unitech badge and like my ID identifying myself as a. I'm pretty sure I'm an assistant vice president, if I recall, overseeing this project.
Assistant vice president is such a fun.
It's still, you know what? It still has vice president in it. I've worked very hard. I'm a career woman.
Chain. Very impressive.
I do
Love a
know.
woman in uniform.
Yes.
If you'd like to roll, to try and, you know, if you want to push it and try to see what's going on, you're more than welcome to roll. It will be a slightly harder target number, but not impossible.
I think I'd like to try.
Yeah, please.
Okay.
I just slowed down or made more difficult by the spamware or adware malware that Casey's using to prevent you from seeing the real report.
I don't know what you're talking about.
10 things Dr. Kravitz doesn't want you to know about being in space, for example.
Yes, it's a listicle.
Number 7 will drive you wild.
Okay,
5 things
so
that work and 5 things that don't.
We think perception for that, or
Yeah. I'd say like a perception. If there's any related skill, I'll take it as well. But perception would definitely be the.
I do have blatant lies as a skill, but I think those are my own, not other people.
That is correct. You two are hiding something, but you may or may not know what that is yet.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to the die next to perception.
Ooh.
Looks
Okay.
like a 10. I don't know if I add the trump value to it.
So you do.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a 10. I would say that you're just off. You learn enough to know that what information is there is pretty much planted. Like it's not. There's no way it makes any sense. Granted, you can't actually see any of the real information, although you still believe that it's there. You haven't discovered that it's erased.
Right. I have enough of a bullshit meter to be like, someone has handed me a fake document, but not enough technical know-how to know what has happened to the data.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. Well, this has thoroughly. Well, it hasn't fucked up my plans, but it has made things more difficult, especially with the doctor being dead. Has anyone else died? Do
Jesse,
we know?
you upon hearing this question or seeing this,
has anyone else died?
Jesse dies in
that question.
You remember that you're actually here because you remember more of your bounty hunter past, and you remember your partner, Doug Colt. Now, Doug is supposed to be on the ship as well, but you were put in passenger module A, and he was put into passenger module B. It's on the other side of the ship, and it's basically at the opposite most point from where you are now. But you hear, the question, has anybody else died? And you remember that the reason that you're on the ship in the first place is because you're tracking down a serial killer who appeared in that Luna port, that unnamed Luna port, and you somehow ended up on the ship chasing this person along with Doug. And that's kind of all you remember. So you know somebody else died in the lead up to this ship launch.
Yeah, I don't feel the need to share that fact at all. You, computer person, can you find Doug?
Oh, Casey is the name.
Don't care. Can you find Doug?
So feisty. Because you asked so nicely, I could try.
Please.
There we go. So much better.
He can be taught.
Can I find if other people are still on the ship?
If you do a very difficult computer or hacking check, you can tap into the security feed around the ship and see what's going on. Yeah, Taylor.
Oh, I guess upon hearing this, Taylor would be like, that's against protocol, HIPAA violations and all. You can't look up other passenger information.
Okay, well, hear me out. He's my friend. That's it. That's all I got. But I think I should be able to find
so
him.
many words.
I mean, everything's just so unprecedented. They really didn't go over this in training.
Unprecedented circumstances, unprecedented possibilities.
I
You're
guess,
gonna have to not go by the book for now.
What was your name again? Both of you, I guess.
Jesse.
Casey.
Casey. Okay, and you over there? They're pointing at the suit person.
Blake Colby.
All right, Colby. Yes, let's look into the feed and just see where everyone else is at. And hopefully we can see if the same thing's happening over on Module B. Yes, I'm sure this is fine. Okay. Go ahead.
With all due respect, I don't care about everyone else. I'm just looking for Doug.
Is Doug your
I can
husband or
multitask.
something?
Yes, Doug is my husband.
Well, then I'm sure we can make an exception, Taylor, in these unprecedented times.
Unprecedented times.
So I'm going to try to find. I don't think I can do it for my own stasis pod because it's like an individual stasis pod. Is there like a bigger terminal that could be used?
Yeah, there's like a regular. You can just use essentially like the computers hooked up to that passenger module, and you can kind of look in and see what's on the second and third decks, as well as see if you can push yourself past the rest of it.
Okay.
Now, if
I
you
will
want to do that
try.
roll, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not that good, is it?
I believe it is actually
fuck.
a 16. It's not it's not actually a low roll. I believe those are added together. Essentially, with a good enough roll of 16, you are able to successfully hack into where you are. You can choose to open up the hatches now, kind of by yourself, since you've already gotten into the systems, but you feel that you can't actually see what's going on in the other passenger module. You can only see status updates. Every pod in passenger module B is offline, just like yours. So there's probably people either trapped, scared, or needing of some assistance if they're trying to get out just like you are.
So, according to the logs, all of them are offline just like we are, so they're probably awake. I can open up the hatches if you want.
Yes, that would be nice. Thank you.
I give Taylor a look. Is that okay?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
okay?
fine. They look back over at the body that has all the marks on it. But we still haven't figured out what happened to him, and if there's something out there that could be a reason why we're shut in here, maybe.
I mean, it's a probability.
I'm sure it's fine. Just everyone, we just need to stay calm and breathe, and we will figure out what is going on. I promise we have your best interest. They're very much trying to go into that stewardess mode. Yes, please, Casey, open the hatches.
I do so.
You do so, and immediately, basically climbing over you, pushing the rest of you out of the way, Tova, Jake, and Safa climb up that ladder as fast as possible. They're like, they scream out to you, especially Tova, "We got work to do, all right? Fuck off." They climb up the ladder and completely disengage conversation with you, instantly turn more aggressive than they were prior. And you can hear themselves making their way off to one of the other modules.
We should stay together. Maybe don't run off. I need to keep you guys all together.
Manny looks at Taylor and is like, "Oh, thank the maker. Somebody finally agrees." Exactly. Taylor, was it a stewardess with Unitech? I feel safe when I'm in your hands. And everybody should stay in this module and not go anywhere. We should seal ourselves back in and wait for assistance.
We need to go find Doug,
Helga,
though.
yeah, Helga looks at Casey and her husband, and she's like, "Manny, all right, stop fucking being such a buzzkill, okay? We gotta figure out what's going on." Essentially downplaying her husband, telling him to go take a seat and get his juice box, because she has business to take care of. She has actual work to do. She's excited to leave the module and go with you, explore the rest of the ship. And Manny is adamant about somebody, or most of you, preferably staying with him in the module.
I know that the steward's deck is right above this one. I have some belongings there that I'm sure might be able to help us. If we could just make it over there, anyone that wants to stay in here is welcome to do so, and perhaps we'll find some short range communicators up there. I'm sure this is just some technical error, and everything will be back online, and we will make it to port very soon.
Where are the bags?
Bags? Your luggage?
Yes. Where are the bags?
Says the steward.
Where are the bags, GameMaster?
Oh no, so
probably in the cargo hold.
No, so the passenger module itself has 3 decks, and there's a passenger deck, a steward deck, but there's also a luggage deck right before you leave the module completely. So it would actually be that last floor, before you actually leave this self-contained pod area. That's where the bags are. There are a number of goodies there, of loot, also some secrets.
I'd like my bag.
Well, you like your bag. We'd also like to find Doug. Taylor has an excellent idea to go to the steward's deck and see if we can find some more information. Uh, Obviously, Manny, if you would like to feel safe, you could stay right here and seal yourself in, and we'll be back anon, I'm sure.
No, somebody has to stay with me. Freaking out.
That's just being selfish.
Not gonna
No one
happen.
has. I'm sorry. Are you the captain, Manny? Are you a ranking officer in any sort of
No,
capacity? Here with Unitech, do
no,
you represent Unitech the way
no.
Taylor and myself represent Unitech? Okay, I thought so. So I'm going to need you to get on the same page with the rest of the team, and you can
Eyes
either come
down.
with us. Your choice is safety in the pod, safety in numbers, because these numbers are going upstairs.
Manny's like, okay, eyes down, completely tail between his legs. I'm sorry, okay? Just, Helga, just go and help them out, okay? Just get back here faster. And he kind of like he's like, I don't have any food or water. And he starts going to the steward deck by himself since you're all still in the pod, basically to start scrounging through different stewards like food and their meat locker, basically figure out like what's going on, what food is available.
You can't go up there by yourself. Can
Says
Taylor
who?
chase
I'm
after them?
hungry. Yeah. So,
You don't need to go there. If you just wait a moment. We were going up there anyways, and Jesse, your bags are just on the floor right above the steward's deck, so I'm sure we could keep on going and get your things as well.
Yeah,
Excellent.
excellent. Taylor, why don't you please lead the way for everyone?
Yep. Taylor will quickly catch up to Manny because they don't want them to go to the steward's deck without them. Because that's against protocol.
Yeah. Blake is kind of trying to get everyone to leave the pod before her in this approach because she would like to take a moment to look at the doctor's body. So that's sort of like my motivation at the moment.
So Blake's trying to look at the body. Taylor's up there trying to stop Manny from getting to the steward deck faster. Casey's already hacked, and Jesse's going with the flow.
Jesse's just trying to get to his bag and then his husband.
The bag. The bag is simple enough. We'll resolve that one first. And Casey, what was your goal at this particular time?
I will, when Blake goes to go look at the body and Taylor and Jesse go upstairs, I'm going to find the way to the core.
Zoop. Casey zoops out and makes it out there fast enough for no one to really catch her or like see what she's doing outside of the pod. Taylor's obviously scrounging around in the steward deck, and we'll get there in a moment. Jesse, for you, let's try to look for your bag. So this is going to be a perception modified by perception attribute modified by investigate skill with a target number of 10. So as long as you beat 10, you're good.
Okay, investigates. So it's just roll the little die next to investigate, that's all?
Yeah.
Well, that gives you... Alright. Oh, modified by what skill, sorry? Perception?
Oh, perception. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. That's not enough. That is...
It's actually a 9. However, it is not enough. You have some difficulty finding your bag. However, you do find a crumpled piece of paper that upon opening was in your bag. It says Fallon Nasak, Luna Slasher, catch. And now you have a name to the person that you got on board to actually find. A person who goes by the name of Fallon Nasak, otherwise known as the Luna Slasher.
Oh shit. Yeah, he
Complete
stuffs that into
failure.
his pants.
You
Yeah, it could be
stuff
worse.
it in your pants.
Stuffs it in his pants. Great.
Okay.
You got to keep that hidden. And disappointed to not find his bag. I'm trying to think what he would do. I mean, he'll tear this place apart. Like, he will absolutely like rip this luggage deck apart looking for it.
Looking for your bag?
Leave the place a complete mess. Yeah, he'll leave the place a complete mess on his way out. But then I think, yeah, he'd head back, knowing everybody. Oh, he would try to lead, have Taylor go with him to the. So yeah, Taylor, you're with him, right? For this, you went to the luggage deck too?
So
Taylor went to the steward desk trying to
yes.
keep Manny from getting there before.
Right. I see. So I went off on my lonesome. Okay, then considering he's alone, yeah, then he'll definitely completely destroy the luggage deck. Just absolutely tear it apart.
You start bashing all these luggage bags, and as you start, it pans over to Taylor, one deck below you on the steward deck, frantically trying to get Manny to let you go first. Manny's pretty, pliable, and fortunately, you're able to sort of scare, stress, or pressure him into not basically getting there before you. You make it there without a check. However, upon getting there, you have a choice about what you want to do on the steward's deck.
So essentially, Manny just wanted food, right?
Just wanted food.
So Taylor's eyes sort of scan across the steward's deck to where they know that there will be food. Their eyes momentarily pause on that a locker, a food locker. It looks like that says out of order. Before continuing on to like a different area of the steward's deck to prepare some food and drink for Manny, but they kind of keep an eye on them, just like in their periphery.
Yeah.
Just something light will help with your stasis sickness. Make sure to drink plenty of fluids. I've even packed a couple extra snacks and granola bars. Stress eating. I do that too.
You give him his big boy Lunchables, and it's a bunch of granola, small little cracker sandwiches, and of course an ample share of juice boxes. Manny takes this. He's grumbly. Okay, it was not what I wanted, and hangs onto it. Starts eating it, and continues back towards the passenger deck. Sort of again, completely satisfied at this point and unwilling or unwanting to follow the others past. Blake used to wanted to stay behind to look at the body.
Yes.
Let's do another check that, for an attribute. Let's say that this was going to be modified by intelligence. And if there's a skill that you think is appropriate that you have some bonus in, feel free to use it.
Mm. No bonus skills, unfortunately, so let's just see how intelligence treats me. It looks like a 13 if I'm reading the numbers correctly.
Let's see here. Yeah, exactly. More than sufficient. The body is destroyed. It's like unrecognizable. And the thing is that you know that the project that you were working on now is kind of coming back to you. It's coming back to you. You remember some details.
Mm-hmm.
These claw marks, you've seen them before. The bite marks,
Mm-hmm.
you've seen this before. But more so than that, you have an attachment to whatever made these marks. You care for it very deeply. And it seems like your reason for being here is a lot more involved than initially thought. You learn very little about the doctor, but you learn a lot more about yourself. Seems like Unitech had you as a project manager, not just on the ship, but way more importantly, what they were going to test on the ship.
Mhm.
Those details are still a little fuzzy, but
Yeah. I think
it's yours.
if so. Taylor's not Taylor. I'm not Taylor. I'm Blake. Status sickness.
This gets a little
Um,
confusing.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
the
yeah.
stasis sickness, yeah.
Ugh. Um, Blake is starting to write a report to Unitech in her head, basically, of presenting this data back and collecting data, of steadily realizing how wrong everything is going. So while I have a moment alone, looking at this body, I'd like to sort of look around the passenger pod and clock a security camera, and then um, very clinically sort of arrange the body in such a way so that the security camera has a clear view of the damage that was done to it. Because I just woke up from stasis. I don't have a phone or a camera or anything on me, but I know that the brass back home is going to want to see this, even if I'm not certain why. Like,
Even
so I'm
now,
trying to like
you're
get it on record in some way.
yeah, you're still researching. You're still trying to cover
Mhm.
your ass. It's working out great, and it is successful. There's no role required for manipulation of a corpse. Um, you're fine, and you can arrange, disregard that person's former humanity as much as you like, while driving home the message for your
Well,
corporate master.
yeah, and I would say like if I have not finished by the time Manny like comes back down with his snacks, I would play it off as though I was doing something respectful with the body as I'm like laying out like the arms and legs and like a T pose to be like this is be
Oh
like no, no, no.
no!
I was very good friends with the doctor, and I remember in his culture, this is how you prepare the body prior to. So I'm just trying to be respectful
This is what he
using
would
my
have
blatant
wanted.
lie skills.
Yeah, yeah. Manny comes in. He's sort of sipping on his juice box, wide-eyed, looking at you as your hands are covered in just viscera and grime, congealed and coagulated fat. You look up and you're like, you say you say your bit. Manny's like, okay, he believes you on the basis of your blatant lie, and is like, clearly this person knows what they're doing, and they're trying to be as respectful as they can. And Blake is good there.
Excellent. And so then I will probably follow up into the steward's quarters. The steward.
Prior to you going up, or probably while that's happening, another chime in from.
Oh, Taylor is after Manny leaves, they wait just a couple of beats to make sure that he doesn't turn around and come back in, um, before approaching those two frozen food lockers. They kind of sidle between them, squeezing between the two into that narrow space where there's an electrical panel. Um, they quickly like tear that off of the wall. And hidden behind that electrical panel, there is a small handgun, um, that they quickly pull out and hide on themselves, um, or dusting themselves off and squeezing back over to, you know, dusting their tie, making sure that the gun can't be seen. Yeah.
You
Sigh of
go right
relief.
back to your nervous. You go
Yeah.
right back to your nervous personage. I'm sure.
Yeah. There's like that moment where they just like they look confident for a second, but then you see like their shoulders slump back. They lose that posture and they're like, yeah, take on that nervous demeanor again.
Perfect. So, Blake goes on up. sees Taylor in the steward deck. By this point, Taylor has finished doing whatever Taylor was doing. The both of you head on up, see Jesse absolutely destroying bunches and bunches of luggage until at last Jesse finally claims um, his bag, his missing bag. Um, in the bag,
Jesse just
there
walks out
is
carrying it and just goes, "Found my bag," and you just see fucking disaster. He was like punching luggage open, and just left like luggage and just like splinters.
The reason you actually found it was your bag was that as you were punching, you actually like bent a combat knife that you had inside your bag. You hurt yourself a little bit, stabbed yourself a little bit, but you remember, upon taking your hand out, that it was your knife, had your handle on it. It's kind of unusable at this point, but you had a single shock patch for stunning inside of the bag that is still intact. So apart from some supplies, you also have that patch. You make it on out as you see Casey nowhere to be found. Casey, what are you up to at the core or beyond?
I need to go to the cockpit.
By this point, excuse me, there would have been enough time in between everything for you to make it to the cockpit on time. Weirdly enough, you feel like you've, it was easy to get in, as the locks opened to you without further involvement. And you feel like there was some prior tampering with them, either from you or a different person in here. It's really just little more than a seat with controls necessary to actually pilot the ship. However, it does have extremely sophisticated computer systems, and the rest of the ship really can be accessed here. If you want to get in there, it would be
Yes, please.
Now, some choices. Were you looking to A, kill the others and detach passenger module A while they're still inside of it? B, tamper with the information and recording systems of the ship, if that serves your purposes. Or lastly, you can actually change the destination of the ship as well from here. And then I'll give the appropriate check for whichever one you choose.
I am going to do B. Tampering.
This will be being tampering. So that'll be a mechanics modified by dexterity roll, target number 10.
I don't have No, I have orbital mechanics. Would that work?
That suffices.
It's only one, but it's one more than I had.
It's
you said
one.
plus intelligence or dexterity?
Yeah, plus dex for this one.
That's not great. Probably.
It is sufficient, actually.
Yeah.
For a different reason. In this case, you're able to tamper with them as you like. Whether, again, you wanted to do the same with the pod as to delete this information and replace it with fake. But more importantly than that, in scanning the footage prior to its deletion, you see what can only be described as an unfathomable, unintelligible creature, the likes of which moves in ways you've never seen before, absolutely annihilating the pods in passenger module B, where Doug is. This seems to
Oh,
have
boy.
been in the last 3 hours from the current time, and could explain why the pods themselves are offline. Um, it is the last known footage, as the camera was destroyed shortly thereafter, and you don't actually see anybody inside. I mean, you can't verify if anybody's inside or not. You continue with the tampering as well.
Yes, I'm going to try to close the door back to B.
Gonna try to keep it closed.
Yeah, like I'm gonna make it look like I opened it, so I'm like, I don't know what's happening if I get
Oh.
seen and we get there. But mostly like I don't want people to see that shit. Because
So
I
it's
saw it and
locked
it's
currently, or it's
terrifying.
open currently?
I wanted to close it.
Oh, it was already locked, so you
Oh,
could
okay.
just leave it.
Then never mind.
Yeah. At this point, by the time that you end up finishing tampering, everybody's kind of coming out of the passenger module, and you can sort of decide if you wanted to come back in time for that or continue playing coy with the other shipmates.
It depends on the answer to the last question I just sent you.
Ooh, let me check. You indeed, both
Okay,
are
cool.
both conditions have been cleared. Yeah.
Then I will go back to I'm gonna try to find like a snack or something, like just anything that looks like I went for a reason, like a bathroom, something like that, and then make my
Yeah.
way back.
Okay. You link up at essentially towards like the core of the ship, and it's a long tube with the cockpit at the front, and the engine room at the back. You know that just behind the cockpit was the captain's room and then the airlock, but you didn't bother with either of those rooms, at least not without, you wanted to get back in a timely fashion. Um, all four modules connect to the core, and the core is what's basically causing them to spin and creating that artificial gravity. So within this area, within like the actual ship core, you don't feel much gravity at all. In fact, this is where, if anybody has any microgravity assistance or was a spacer, they would do particularly well in this environment, and the others would have a little bit of a harder time.
I am a spacer. Ah.
Yeah, so you're definitely not as affected as Jesse, Taylor, and Blake would be upon seeing them again.
Okay. Yeah, I don't really have anything else that I need to do, so I'm gonna go find the others and just pretend that I was finding the little ladies' room.
You meet up. Who would like to say something first? To the returning Casey, or to each other?
I know that by the time Blake catches up with the others,
Everybody, apparently.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
okay, Blake would sort of take Taylor by the elbow and sort of quietly and very deliberately speaking to Taylor, say, I need to get to the engine pod.
For something in particular?
Yes. Yes, I have, of course you probably wouldn't know this, a proprietary piece of Unitech technology was placed under the captain's care. It is currently in the engine pod, and I need it.
Yeah, should we all go together, or just is this just a you and me thing?
I would prefer if it's just a you and me thing. As a member of the Unitech family, you understand? You're already under NDA.
Yeah.
See?
Oh yeah, the
They call
NDA.
you a
Yes, of
family
course.
member. When they call you a family at work, it's a red flag every time. Just saying.
Yeah, always.
Don't
Yeah, this
just
is
roll with
Wayland
it.
Yutani.
Yes, of course. Miss Colby, yeah, I will take you right away to the engine room. Yeah.
Excellent.
Do they pass anyone as they head out, or are they just able to go?
So Helga's very confused, but she's still willing to explore. She's gonna stay with Jesse and Casey if nobody follows, but I wanted to see what Jesse was up to prior to cutting to
Yeah.
Taylor and Blake.
Jesse wanted to go find the entrance to Module B to find
Module
Doug.
B. To find Doug.
Yeah.
So let's resolve that first. Upon getting out and Casey returning, while Blake and Taylor are having their conversation, Jesse, you make a bolt straight for passenger module B. You find it locked, but you hear a lot of commotion coming from cargo module A. Like rustling, like metal creaking, like definitely dangerous.
He like punches Module B and then hears all that creaking and sound and pauses and smells the air. Does one of those kind of he wants to listen closely and try to get a sense of what he's hearing. Like what that sound is. Even if that means moving closer to it, which is usually not recommended, but you know.
One shot.
One shot.
Can I
It's a one shot.
can I make my way towards Jesse while this is happening?
Yes, I would love that. So Casey
Did you
and Jesse.
follow him, or is it one of those?
I wouldn't have run after you, but I would have walked, so you would have been in like the process of doing your thing.
Casey appears.
Yeah, he just like punched the door of the cargo hold.
You
Fuck.
you don't want to go in there.
Hello.
Hi.
Why don't I want to go in there?
So I may have looked at the cameras to see if there was any idea of what happened. And I saw a giant ass creature, and I described what I had seen. And normally I wouldn't tell you this, but it was fucking terrifying. And I think it started behind that door.
Doug's behind that door.
I know, that's why I wanted you to know.
Doug.
I didn't want you to find out by opening the door, but it's locked and I can't even break it. And I'm the best.
Really?
God damn it,
He's
I'm the
checking as a
best.
smart one.
I mean, I can try, but I didn't have access to it in where I was before. I opened the door when I was in there, right? It didn't open.
I'm a good person to have in your debt. Especially when there's things that might be able to kill you running around. So how about you open this door and we say I owe you a favor?
I'll try. For love, I will try.
Thank you.
I guess I'll try to open the door.
Okay.
Because we hear the noise coming from a different room now, right?
You do. You do hear the noise coming from a different room. Yeah,
I'm
I
going
mean,
to
you
try
already...
two things. I'm going to try closing the door between this room and the next room, the cargo.
Okay.
If there is one.
Smart.
So to make sure like that is closed and the creature, if it's in there, can't come out.
So you're in the
best of my
ship core
knowledge.
right now. So you'd be like you'd be going up to the door modules of both cargo module A and passenger module B, trying to open passenger module B from its direct panel and trying to keep cargo bay 1 locked directly from its panel. Now, passenger module B, you've technically already have access to, since you've already tried
Okay.
interfacing with that particular area before. So you don't have to roll for that one. Um, Actually, same with the other. So I'm actually no rolls for this one. This is perfect. So you lock one, you open the other. Um, Almost at the same time that Jesse approaches the, about to open passenger module B, um, like screams and knocks, just like thuds start being heard from the module. Hey, this isn't funny. Let me out.
Oh, shit.
Um,
Fuck.
Jesse opens up to see passenger module B covered in blood and detritus. Um, it's not pretty. Um, the cargo module
I am looking.
people still banging.
I am looking for Doug, but specifically because judging by this general state of things right now, there's a very good chance Doug is hamburger meat. So I am specifically looking for my friend Doug's left arm.
Sappho and her friend. Yes, you're looking for your friend's left arm
Left arm.
specifically.
Yes.
I don't know what to say about this one. Let's use
It's distinctive.
investigation.
I would know it if I saw
Yeah.
it.
Yep. So we'll use investigation modified by perception for this one, with a target number of only
Okay.
7, since Doug is your wonderful husband and you know that arm better than anyone.
I mean, yes, that beautiful arm that held my face at our wedding.
No, stop, my heart.
His beautiful painted nails. What? Sorry, what was the skill? I was lost in my romance with Doug.
It was investigation modified by perception. Or
Investigation
intelligence. I'll
modified
take
by
whichever one's
perception.
higher.
Okay. Which one is higher for me? I think my. Oh, it's my perception. Yup. He ain't
Nice.
like super smart. Okay. Target number 7. Oh, crushed it. Yeah, that's what. 14?
Yeah, this is a
Doubled it?
critical success. I mean, you find the arm. You also get a great look at the rest of the passenger modules, and there are similar scratch marks like the ones that you saw in Dr. Kravitz's pod. But instead of it being on the interior of that pod, it's like all over the walls, metals slashed off. It's, it's not looking great. You do find the arm. What are you looking for?
Doug is a special man, my beloved husband, Doug. Because you see, and I'm not pulling this out of my ass, it's in the memory that you gave me. Doug has a gun built into his left arm.
Very special arm.
And
indeed.
it says it has a few shots, quote. Or a couple shots, so I guess 2. It has 2 shots in it. He's got a little derringer stuck in his wrist.
You take it
so
with
he's
you.
Gonna like.
Yeah,
he looks around and like kind of as he's like sort of absent-mindedly, nonchalantly like tossing like body parts aside and like digging through corpses and then he finds Doug's arm, his left arm, and Doug. This was his cover. Doug is also wearing like a ring on his like marriage finger on his left hand. So he's like, "Oh, I found it. No," and takes the ring off. He's like, "Keepsake," and then like cracks the arm and takes the gun that's in the wrist, puts it in his jacket. Just
Casey, you're right there. You're right there. There's a bunch of blood everywhere. This person's just destroying his husband's arm. Husband's arm.
Was he really your
You would want me
husband?
to happen. We were close.
That doesn't answer the question.
It's not an answer.
You're right, it doesn't.
Huh.
I'll miss him very much.
Do hold on. Do I remember my memory 2 yet?
No. Soon, however.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm not a memory 2 yet either, right?
No.
think I'm
Yeah,
still in memory
nobody's.
one.
Yeah, everybody gets.
I just
wanted to
memory
be
twos
sure.
at the same time. Yeah. But we're
Okay.
not.
But I did
we're
remember the
almost
thing about the Luna Slasher.
there. You did pick up the note. That's what you're here for.
Yeah, that's
the Luna
wild.
Slasher.
Yes, the Luna Slasher.
Okay, so there are people yelling in the other room, so maybe we should open that? I don't know, but that might be yelling from the monster. Are they still yelling?
Humans are.
Okay. That's good. Humans yelling is good.
He takes the arm, and in my mind, it's like the bottom, like it's like the hand, and it's just held in like this position, like it's like a. So he just like takes the hand and holds up the the hand like so, and
Stylish.
so what's your deal? Why are you here?
Just a passenger
That's
who's really
absolutely
smart.
not true.
It's not. And I walk to the other door.
You
All
walk
I
in,
really want is for us to be honest about being dishonest with each other.
I was. So were you.
Good. Then I think we've reached an understanding.
I like you. We're gonna get along great.
Just follows her carrying a hand.
Just prepare yourself and maybe hide that if we run into the others. And I will unlock the
Head on
other
over.
door. Yeah.
Okay. So at this time, Blake and Taylor, as well as Helga, would have been arriving with what's going on. So let's pan over to see what Taylor and Blake were up to in the meantime at the engine pod. So Blake, Taylor, you make it over to the engine pod. Helga doesn't know where to go. Helga's just trying to follow whomever. So at this point, Helga's sticking with Blake and Taylor, kind of, behind you guys, but not too far, not far enough away that she doesn't know what's going on. She can still hear conversations and participate. Helga looks around and is like, I just needed a break from my idiot husband. It's too much sometimes. Especially, geez, you think you get 10 months of peace and stasis and you wake up and it's like, that's not enough, right? Ooh, I'm trapped. Oh, help me. No, it's fine. Just, what do you got going on in there? And looks on in the engine pod that you seem to have arrived at.
You know what, Helga? I think you're right. You deserve a break and a little peace and quiet. So why don't you stay out here? And Taylor and I are going to discuss a few Unitech proprietary manners in the engine pod, and we'll be right back. You can just enjoy some peace and quiet.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I want.
Unless you're prepared to sign an NDA and begin employment immediately. Do you have any skills?
No.
Marketable skills in this moment? Survival skills?
I do, but not here. No more paperwork, please.
Okay. Then, yeah, probably best you just, take a moment, do some yoga, some deep breathing. We'll be right back.
Screw this. I'm going to spend some time in the ship core and get a little lower. Taylor, yeah. What's up?
I have a granola bar that you get to take with you.
Ooh, a piece of candy. And just like her husband, Helga will accept the snack, the small child's Lunchables, and walk away.
Yeah.
hands it to her. She goes back to the
Amazing.
ship's core and starts eating a granola bar in basically, zero gravity and microgravity.
Now,
And start
now we
floating.
know how to get Helga to the bad guy. Just have a trail of candy.
Crunch. Wow.
Hi.
Everybody's so wrong in their own ways. Okay. Taylor, Blake, you make it to the engine pod. You see, this is probably the first part of the ship that you've seen fully damaged. It seems like stopping the ship's rotation quickly caused some issues with the servos on that particular bay, and or in the ship's core towards the back. It's on fire, and there's definitely
Oh,
some
gosh.
structural damage as well. If you want to save what's in there, you'll definitely need to help put it out. I'll say
Alright, is there...
that.
Mhm.
Oh, and please.
No, I was just going to look around for a fire extinguisher.
Yeah, that's
Exactly. Yeah, great. No, perfect. So, there's a couple ways to pull out the fires. We'll use the fire escape or the fire extinguishing method. And let me see exactly what the check is, because I had an idea, but I want to default to this one. Aha. Okay. It would be from both of you, an engineering skill test modified by intelligence. The higher the better.
You say modified by... Do I...
Oh yeah,
both?
roll engineering. Yeah, roll
Mhm.
engineering, and then it'll tell you to pick an attribute, and you can just pick an
I
attribute,
see.
basically.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you.
my pleasure. Okay, so wow, killing it out here. Okay, definitely more than enough from both of you. Not only can you actually put out the fires, you can actually adjust the engine settings as well to put the spin back on and sort of like, basically turn the gravity back on and make it a little more bearable, if this is something you'd like to do.
Excellent. Yes, definitely. I think.
You're an engineer, right?
Oh God, no. I dabble.
Oh.
Sorry, I interrupted
Put
you.
out. No, I'm just wondering who could correct the ship, but I guess they both are able to find fire extinguishers, put out the flames, and then
Oh, of course.
I'll leave it to Blake to figure out how to do the ship thing.
I'm pretty sure I attended a few meetings about this, and I think if you read one manual about these, they're all kind of the same. And if I just, you know what? It's a setting. It's a setting right here, Taylor. I see it. And I turn it back on.
Stop button.
I
Perfect.
attended a meeting once. I'm an expert now.
Look, like any good executive, absolutely I am.
Classic.
But-
So much hatred, so many feelings. It's so good.
I mean, that was me at my job. Go to this meeting, learn everything you need to know, make a manual about it. I'm like, okay.
Now that
I don't understand what could have caused this. Looking around, can Taylor see any sort of like where this damage came from, what caused it, if they were hit by like an asteroid? They don't know, but they're trying to figure out what caused the fire.
You start to find yourself excited by the prospect of the fire spreading.
Yeah.
You hold yourself back a bit. It seems like you're really asking. You're like, oh, but what about this? And is this gonna blow up somebody? Like, with a vein of care. But there's clearly some bloodthirst.
And then I'm a nervous person. It's just interesting how a fire started here. Fascinating. But we should put it out, of course. Wonder what would happen if it went over there. Yeah. Do you see anything that could have started this?
Let's see. I don't know if I do, but I do like you, Taylor. If you stick with me, I think there's definitely a promotion in this for you. Because, I'll be honest, I do like everything that I'm seeing. Can I do like looking at the damage, would I have any reason to think that this is also related to my project?
A little bit
That
more,
my
not enough to trigger memory 2,
okay.
but enough comes back that you know that what's in the box that you came here
Mhm.
for in the first place, and the creature are related somehow. You
Mhm.
start to see some of the damage, and more of the creature starts to come to you, and a rough image of its unimaginable shape takes place in
Mhm.
your mind. So yes,
Is magnificent. It's not going according to plan, but I'm not angry at it, and I'm just looking for the box.
you find it
Magnificent.
immediately.
What's magnificent?
Um, you signed your NDA, right? I can trust you. Unitech to Unitech. We are.
Yeah,
There's a couple of projects going
I
on.
signed all the forms. Of course.
Excellent. So if you breathe a word about this to anyone, it will not end well. But there's a very specific reason that I'm here, and a very specific reason that this is happening, and a very specific box that I need to get into. I imagine turning the box around because I
You
just want to
finally
open
crack
it. I
it
don't know.
open.
Excellent.
Yeah. No roll required. You crack it open, and out pops this strange controller with a yellow light on one end and a purple light on the other. Not activated currently.
Excellent. Not like any good career woman, I shove it in my bra. Safe and sound.
Classic.
Good spot for
Okay,
that.
excellent.
Yep.
Excellent. Now we need to figure out what exactly went wrong. You don't have a history with corporate espionage, do you? No sabotage in your background, there, Taylor?
I mean, I know how to navigate a bureaucracy, if that's what you're asking.
Well, will certainly come in handy, but as long as you're not outright trying to kill me, I'll take it for now. That's a plus.
Of course, this is silly. Who would try to kill you? No.
Excellent.
Frantic,
I
I'm
think
sure.
that things are. Good things are afoot. I think someone is trying to spoil this voyage. Don't know who. And I just want to know that I can trust you.
Of course. Of course you could. I mean, we're in
Excellent.
the same company. All that.
Yes.
I signed the NDA. Yeah.
Yes, you did. As well as all of the legal paperwork. Uh, we should, there's got to be a comm system, right, in the cockpit. We should get a message out, letting letting the arrival station, letting Miskan Station know what happens, and that we will need assistance and possibly a pickup as well.
Before further discussion of communications can happen, Helga starts to not necessarily scream but gasp in a little bit of fear as Casey finally opens the cargo bay or the cargo module A door leading open to the ship's core, and getting as Jesse and Casey get closer. At this point, I'm sure that Blake and Taylor run out to see what's going on, and the lot of you um, see what seems to be like a fine white powder stuffed inside toys, medical supplies, and other goods, kind of being laid out in very uniform packages. Um, Inside are none other than Tova, Jake, and Safa. The three of them, however, are a little bloody. There's a lot of blood on the floor, but they're pretty clean comparatively. However, they're all on the floor crying, and the crying is very like strange. It's very otherworldly. It's sort of they seem to be crying almost in unison, with one starting and the other finishing. At this point, no banging or yelling.
Please tell me that's not the creepiest shit you ever seen.
It's not the creepiest shit I've ever seen.
Me either, but it's really creepy.
Who knows if it's a lie?
Also,
or
is
not?
that cocaine?
It
I
totally
believe
is.
that's cocaine.
We weren't even sharing. How fucking rude.
Oh, he's gonna do that thing people do in movies where he scoops it up and then like puts it up in his gums. Yeah, that's coke.
Plus 1
You want
HP.
Yeah, sure. I'll take it.
Some temporary hit points.
Wait, what are we learning? What are we teaching the kids if we get extra HP from doing coke?
It certainly increases your constitution for an amount of time.
Yep.
But you partake before checking on the safety of the people. They continue to cry louder as you get closer.
I'm going to, since I'm already connected, I'm going to try to access the logs of this door to see if like it got opened by anybody else other than me and these people that just came in. Because
Okay.
I heard banging noises, we heard loud noises, so I think like somebody else was in here, but
You already hacked computers earlier, so you don't need to do it again. What you find is that there's only one other name on this list, and it seems to have taken place during this voyage. Jesse Bowdain is on the list of people as having tampered with the doors at some point.
interesting.
Do I remember doing that?
Currently, no.
Hey Jesse?
Yes.
Just come here for a second.
He really awkwardly shuffles slowly across the floor. What?
Is that your last name?
Maybe.
Maybe
Well, if it is, Mr. Secretive, you were the last person to open this door. And I'm saying this very quietly, so the others don't hear.
I see.
While you were asleep.
Well, isn't that strange?
It is. Anything you want to share, or do you remember?
No.
Or is this part of the we don't ask questions?
I thought we had an understanding that we don't ask
We do.
questions.
I just want to be sure. I erase it. And
Thank
then
you.
unplug my
Sign
thing.
of good faith. Taylor,
Well-
you get there just in time. Oh,
Did it happen in the time since, well, this part nobody knows, but when I was doing my thing previously,
Mhm.
Does it have a timestamp?
Mhm.
it did have a timestamp.
Of Jesse's, yeah, it was 10 months ago.
10 months ago. Well, that's different.
Gotcha.
It's at the beginning
Okay.
of the flight. Mm-hmm.
Okay. That
Exactly.
changes things.
Taylor and Blake get there just in time. You guys chime in. At this point, Tova, Jake, and Safa are gone.
At least they're not crying anymore. Creepily.
Yeah, you're all inside the
Just
cargo
gone?
bay. There's blood, no bodies. Yeah, they were crying. They're gone.
Oh,
Whose
Fuck.
blood is that? Are you guys okay?
Is that cocaine?
yeah, you want some?
You can try
No,
some.
no, no, no,
if you
no,
wanna
no,
test it.
no, no. No. That's against
Really?
protocol.
It's pretty
no,
good
no.
cocaine.
I'm gonna take
I
some.
mean, it's like
Just like a
Fine
little.
cocaine. No, I'm just due for
Everybody's
my
like-
monthly.
like gets out his key and gives her a key bump.
Nice.
Uh,
No, so the three crazy just out of stasis that ran up that they were in here all crying like weird, I don't know,
They wouldn't shut the
puppet
fuck
like
up.
creature. Yeah, it was and it wasn't even like crying like a normal crying. It was like a repetitive all crying at once, the same exact sound crying, and it was really weird.
It was
So we were trying to figure out
it was
what's
kind
going
of a
on. and
three-part harmony sort of thing.
They weren't even harmonized though.
I've never done cocaine, but could that have been something that stuff does to someone?
No, cocaine doesn't
is
make
it-
you harmonize crying.
Yeah, no, the last time I did cocaine, I still couldn't carry a tune.
Which way did they go? Did you-
Literally no idea, but there's only so many exits.
Don't know.
Yeah, it's just one exit. It's just the one door.
Is there a trail of
The one's
blood or
open,
anything?
or
Or footprints?
No, nothing.
they were clean. The blood wasn't on them.
Oh, okay.
So there's just the door that we have open. There's no other doors.
Yep, it's a regular door. However, the door was open when Taylor and Blake walked in. It closed, but nobody heard it close.
The door that I just opened.
Yeah, the door that you just opened and walked in. Taylor and Blake walk in. You turn around. Door's closed. Nobody heard it close.
Why'd you close the door?
Oh,
Damn those silent doors. Too
Just-
good at
just
making
polite,
chips.
Don't worry, I'll open the door. And maybe we should go track those three down to make sure that they're okay.
I don't know if I want to.
Taylor's gonna
They kind of creep me out.
try and
Taylor.
there's still
Open the door.
passengers.
So the door's unlocked. As you approach it, please make an agility modified by dexterity action.
Wait,
oh
For a
boy.
door?
Target number unknown. For a door.
For a
oh
door.
no.
No.
That's good.
So
That's usually good.
a dexterity with athletics, is that what you said?
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna do a card for this one. 2, 7, 8, 9. 10.
10. It is not enough, unfortunately. The door sort of merges, it sort of like breaks open a little bit, and it on the top of it, it looks like the same metal texture, but as it opens, it's clearly fleshy and gray inside, as if it's like copying the metal. It lunges at you and goes right for your arm. It does take a nice big chomp out of you, and a piece of flesh that does pop off with it. You do take 4 damage in the process.
There's just like this shriek from Taylor as they fall backwards. But the shriek is like almost an afterthought, it seems like. Maybe just surprise or panic. But they're kind of staring at the blood on their arm with like an almost excited look for just half a second before they're like, oh my gosh, what was that?
Yeah, the door it's not moving, but it keeps trying to bite, and every time it bites, it gets longer, as if it's sort of stretching outwards into the room until it's almost as long as the room itself, and very few are able to escape it. Jesse, are you gonna pull out your dead husband's gun?
My dead husband's hand. Yeah, I'm gonna put the wedding ring back on the finger and pull out my dead husband's hand and fire with it.
The door just attacked me.
The ring?
It ain't.
Yeah, the ring pops.
Yeah, I
and
shoot right over
reverberates.
Taylor's shoulder.
It zips past. It nicks Taylor very, very slightly. No damage taken, but enough to cause more blood. Maybe another reaction from Taylor as it does hit the door. The door itself starts to squeal in pain and sort of folds in on itself and like breaks apart, leaving trails of blood like pooling at the bottom where the door used to be. And now there's no door. There's just like no metal. There's no people. This was your first run-in with the creature.
Did Taylor just get a good like blood splatter off this thing? I'm seeing this very kind of
Yeah,
slapstick.
yeah, exactly. Like a hot, wet blood splatter, crimson, very deep red.
Sorry.
That's hot.
Just
Good shooting.
sitting there covered in blood.
Thanks.
I don't. What was that?
At this point, quickly, everybody's second memories will trigger, and after these memories triggering, we will move on to our 10-minute break and then come back to see what's going on at the end of this. So, Taylor, for you, you remember that this assassin seeking you out personally is not just a figment of your imagination, but is a physical person on the ship. You don't remember exactly where, but you were running away. Now, from here on out, from whenever you see another person, moments of homicidal urges will come to you as you think about how easy it would be to snuff out the life of others around you. So, Taylor, that's what you learn. Jesse, Jesse, you remember you're the one that actually initiated a subroutine prior to getting on UT 383, 389, that if anything were to happen, if anything were to trigger the emergency signals, that it would wake up the passengers at the same time as the staff, right? And so you have yourself to thank for that. This is because you did this in a almost paranoid fashion prior until you finally found an assassin trying to get you, and it actually saved your life. So now you don't leave any spaceport without hacking into it first and uploading this Jesse subroutine. Okay?
Smart, yeah.
For
That's
Jesse.
clever.
Blake, you remember what you've been doing. You're not just any middle manager for Unitech. You're actually the project manager of a highly advanced and secretive biological weapon meant to take on the shape and mimic sounds of others, as well as sneak in and out of many situations, temperature resistant in most situations, and overall just a very damning piece of tech. You got on yourself. However, you have no idea how the safeguards for the creature being released were let go in the first place. It was very secure. It was meant to be transported and then tested at the station, at Miskan Station. It wasn't really meant to be tested on the ship itself, even though it was meant to withstand an attack of the creature. So at this point, you're trying to basically play, catch up and try to either quell the creature or capture it without necessarily destroying it, in hopes of keeping Unitech on your side, at least for now. That's your current line of thought. Casey, you remember a little bit more about what you were doing, and it seems like you already have most of your memories. This is because you actually let yourself out of the pod 3 hours before everybody else. You were the first one awake. And in fact, you went to the cockpit to change the route to Mars. This is because you are actually in the faction known as the Marv's Serfs, which are opposite. It's a religious organization opposite Unitech. So Casey, you remember your hatred or at least disdain for Blake and what Blake represents, and why you changed it in the first place.
That was just natural being Blake.
On your way back to the pod, you heard a noise. You started running, turning corners faster than you were before until finally you made it back to your pod. As the pod was starting the flash-free situation, you saw Dr. Kravitz get out of his pod and start to inquire, only to get basically ravaged by these, flesh tentacles, and sort of pushed back into his pod, where it relocked and reactivated until everybody awoke. More importantly, you know, Casey, that. Oh, I'm sorry, Jesse. You know this. Jesse, you know that Taylor's face is not Taylor's face. It's highly advanced construction work, um, and is very difficult to do. Blake has an inkling of this as well, and Casey, you know about Jesse, hacking. I mean, you already knew that, but this would have been where you learned it if you hadn't already known that. So we have a more, in Blake's case, a more involved officer than we initially thought. Taylor definitely has some homicidal secrets. uh, Jesse is apparently also a hacker and doesn't really put his life into anybody's hands. And Casey,
Love
you
it.
know that Jesse is doing such things, or is capable of such things. So before we get to our reactions and how this changes the trust dynamics of our group, we will head on out to a 10-minute break, where we will return to finish off this wonderful intro session for Shadows over Soul. Thanks, everybody. everybody, and we are back for the second half of our Shadows Over Soul one-shot stasis. This is going to be such a great finale to this. So where we left off is that everybody has just learned some dirt on everybody else as a result of them regaining some of their memories and overcoming their stasis sickness. And just gaining a little bit more about themselves. We know that Taylor's face or identity is not matching up as it should, that Blake has way more to do with this creature than previously thought, and that Jesse is out for maybe bigger blood than we thought when he initially came on board, and conspicuously nothing on Casey. And I mean nothing.
It's weird.
Mum's
Casey
the word.
has seen to this.
So, yep. The monster, now turned back into monster, has escaped from the corridor or the room that you were coming into, which was cargo module A. You're still in there. It's still a messy room, and it looks like, everywhere is particularly dangerous. Hilgo was right outside. So, there's that.
So, the fuck was that? Anybody?
The door attacked me. Taylor's still like sitting on the ground covered in blood, but her hands are like on her neck, like filling the blood, which is, not where she was injured. Jesse?
Hi, Jesse Bowdain. Does Unitech Accelerated Research Division mean anything to any of you?
Absolutely not.
Oh,
That's a yes.
let's start rolling
blatant
deceptions
lie.
for lies. Yeah, let's start rolling deceptions for lies. It was fine before, but now that everybody has a better memory, it's a full-on lie.
This is, if blatant lies is like my skill, how does that affect the roll?
Blatant
You
lies.
get a bonus.
Yeah.
Corporate shill.
The cor-
Corporate shill, my skill is
Yeah, like
bullshit.
+1 to your roll.
Okay.
Draw.
Is
Or draw, yeah.
It's pretty good.
It's 11?
What would you roll to see?
Yeah,
if
it's an
you
11.
Believe that.
So let's do
Should I-
let's do
should
a
I oppose it?
contested. Yeah, exactly. Mhm.
So what is this? Investigate?
I would consider this an investigate perception, if that's what you're willing.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's what's best for you. Ooh, definitely higher. Jesse,
Yeah.
you know that's a Lord of Horse.
Yeah.
I rolled 2 just this, but I don't know if I rolled high or not. I think I did.
Oh. I think you got the same roll I did, didn't you?
Yeah, it's the same.
Oh wait, no. I was looking at your roll this whole time. Never mind. Yeah. Okay. Whole bunch of bullshit. Never heard of it in your life. Sure. Well, I have. And this is the kind of thing that they do. Weird monster-like things that transform into doors and rip your face off. That's sort of their thing.
Were they the people too? That would make sense, wouldn't it? Because they were all weird and clean, and then they disappeared, and then the door was magically there.
Might have been.
I can't hack monsters. God damn it.
Sure you can, but I punched my knife earlier.
I mean, maybe it's just all the cocaine in here. Maybe there wasn't actually a monster, and I just hit myself on the door. So
You are literally covered in blood, Taylor.
Yeah.
Head to toe.
Maybe I'm gonna get cleaned up. I'll go get cleaned up. Scrambles to her feet and is gonna head to the steward's deck. Hopefully, because the door's just open now, right? Maybe we
the door's
shouldn't
just
go
open.
alone. Should
It's
should
auspiciously
we all
quiet.
go? I don't like.
I look at Helga. Is Helga acting weird?
So there was no Helga in view, and there still isn't.
Okay, I thought you said I thought you said behind the door.
She was.
I think okay. I don't trust anybody because I think Helga's gone now. So
No,
I don't know.
I'm right here. And she's like fixing herself, coming down the hallway. Like, no, I just need to use the restroom real quick. That's fine.
I think we should take all the passengers and put them back into Module A and no more wandering around.
Please don't send me back
Thank
with
you.
my husband.
Finally, some sense.
Can we go anywhere else?
Maybe you need to be locked in a room with your husband. Maybe this is a discussion that you guys should be having and working on your communication skills. I think it's very important that you stay in that room with him.
I'm just gonna walk away, ignoring everything and going anywhere else. That's not where they're going.
Still covered in blood. I need to go change.
Jesse just walks out of the room without saying a word. Just right by Blake and Taylor.
No, that's not where Module A is. Everyone needs to go. Okay.
No?
I go back to the cockpit.
Taylor? It's going to be a race because Blake looks at Taylor and says, it's time to accelerate things, and bolts for the cockpit, basically.
Oh.
Ooh,
Oh.
it's on. This was also going to be an opposed test, so this should be also like an athletics dexterity test. I think would be great.
Can I use speed?
Athletics.
Oh yeah, of course. If you have something,
Because I have athletics running with speed.
Yeah, that sounds way better.
Okay.
Could I use my 10 of hearts for my dex? Is that how that works? I don't know how cards work.
I think you would just draw again, and then you would just add like your mod to that. Oh, it's half of your attribute plus your skill.
If I use the card?
Like, did you save the card from something?
I have a 10 of hearts in my hand.
Oh.
And it says dexterity is a heart. So if I can I?
Yeah.
Would it work if I use my cards?
Yeah.
Instead
No.
Of
So
rolling?
yeah, you can. No. So you can just put it down, and then that would be the appropriate card that you'd use. But it has to be. I thought it was like face down. You kind of take it off. No, it's from your hand as well. That's okay. You can just keep it and play it if you already have it in your hand, and that'll be 10. And then you can add your half of your attribute bonus plus a skill if you have one that's appropriate.
Okay. So is it rounded up or down? Because I have 5 in dex.
I think it'd be down.
Yeah.
So 12.
Apologies, everybody. One of my first times playing this game, but I'm really enjoying it so far. Okay, so a 12 so far. Kat,
Okay.
you
So,
rolled.
I rolled.
Mhm.
My question, I guess, is the numbers listed here doesn't seem to account for my specific skills under athletics. which would
You'll need to add that
be
in.
which would be a +1, I think you said.
Yeah, so you were at 12 and now you're at 13.
So now I'm at 13.
Yeah.
How do,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly.
can I use edge? I don't fucking know.
Okay, Blake, you went out just a little bit ahead, and you're able to get to the cockpit seat. I mean, Casey and you are both in the cockpit. You're both trying to squeeze, but you get your hands on the controls first, or at least you get to read the console first. And right now, you see that it's set for Mars.
I think there's a very emphatic, like, I fucking knew it. And God, it's not what I'm good
begins.
at, but it's all falling apart now. The instinct is to turn around and try and like either shove or hit Casey to get some space between us in some way.
A shove is appropriate. I'll totally take that shove.
I think
If you wanted to use like a strength or wrestling skill,
I don't have a
like
I don't have
athletic
a
strength.
This is good.
Nuts. Athletic strength would be great. Yeah.
Okay.
Versus anything. Is it versus anything? I probably can't defend against it.
Yeah. So it's versus the 10 currently that Blake rolled.
Oh, okay.
Well, this is I'm currently waiting on this to resolve for me to announce another turn of events. So let's see how this goes.
Well, I'm assuming I get shoved because I don't think I can beat what they have, what they rolled.
Oh, I mean, if you don't want to roll that, that's fine too with what you have, or don't think you can based on the hand, that's fine too.
Because
Blake,
I don't know what I'm supposed to roll, but you said I had the 10 would work.
Yeah,
I don't have
did you use it on the last
so.
one? Yeah,
Yeah.
it would be athletics, strength.
I have I only have 3 dice for strength, so
Yeah.
I don't think I can beat that.
I don't believe so. At this point,
You can try.
Casey.
Nope.
It's looking bad for you, okay? As Blake, shoves you and kind of takes it out of the way. However, out of the corner of everybody's eye, a lone Jesse appears. Jesse, what's going on?
It's a fine question there. So I just come in to see them in this just melee? Like, are they wrestling with each other?
Definitely Blake is
get...
pushing Casey, and Jesse appears to have something in his hand.
He's gonna like push past Casey, and say, literally say, "Excuse me," and as he pushes past her, come up and try to slap Blake on the back with the shock pad that he got out of his suitcase.
And in doing so, in this still out of combat scenario, Blake, you are shocked. You are stunned under the stun condition, and you kind of, you lock up, fall off the little seat.
You got hit with a taser, I think, right? Isn't that basically
yeah,
it?
It's essentially, yeah, it's a touchpad, but it's a taser.
Fully incapacitated.
Taser.
Yep. So, Blake, I'm at this point, Casey, Jesse, you have the run of the place, and Taylor, you're nowhere to be found unless you come in.
I make sure that the navigation
Blake,
has been tampered with.
As Blake locks up and falls to the ground, Jesse points the finger at Blake as they hit the ground, and he looks back over to Casey. I know we had an understanding to not ask questions, but at this point, I feel an obligation to ask at least one question, if that's all right.
I get one question too.
Why are we going to Mars?
Because fuck this company.
All right. I can get behind that.
I know people who want shit. They're on Mars, so screw over this company. I get money, everybody's happy. Except for Blake in the company, but you know.
Yeah, looks at Blake is like convulsing on the ground. Yeah, Blake doesn't look too happy.
Why were you... Why did you swipe the badge 10 months ago? You know hacking.
Oh. Yeah, sure do.
If we
Normal
survive this, we
protocol
should
is
go
to
on a
wake up
date.
the staff. Oh, well, you're very forward, aren't you?
Yeah, I get
Do
that.
they have
I'm
any
sorry.
good
Continue.
cafes on Mars?
Yeah, tons.
We'll talk. Normal protocol is to wake up the staff before you wake up the passengers, but that's nearly gotten me killed a few times in the past. When someone woke up with the staff and had me vulnerable in a pod. Only reason I survived was because they got the wrong guy. So ever since then, whenever I travel long distance like this, I install my own little subroutine in the system to wake everybody up in the event of an alarm instead of just the staff. That way, it's not suspicious when I'm the only person awake and the staff. It kind of covers my ass. So, that's why.
I like it.
Blake, you're fully conscious
I like
for
it.
this. You know, still, so you're here all this.
Just convulsing,
Yeah.
but conscious.
Yep. Yep.
You have to teach me that trick.
He, like, reaches into his vest and pulls out a pocket and tosses you like a little flash drive. Here,
Catch it.
keep one.
Tuck it in my bra.
So, where do we go now?
We probably should lock Blake up.
Yeah, that'd probably be a good idea. Oh, well, I have your attention. That other girl, Taylor, that's not her real face at all. Just so you know.
I didn't trust her because of how cheerful she was, but that's fair.
It's true.
Good to know.
Anybody who works for Unitech and is that happy is fucking suspicious.
Right?
Before too long, talking amongst yourselves, seemingly in control, a high-pitched ringing starts to emanate from the body of Blake Colby.
Oh my
Blake
God.
has activated the orange light on this strange device that she picked up earlier, and you hear a shrill screaming getting louder, higher pitched, further into your ears, and to the point of reaching you almost within 2 or 3 seconds. Before long, the visor of the cockpit is covered by this fleshy wall where a face manifests inside of it, yelling through you, spattering blood on you.
Do I see the
mean-
device?
You hear it. You
gosh.
do.
Okay.
But Blake stuffed it in her bra. I mean, so,
Fair.
Real boss move.
it's a
Best
little
place
hard to
for
track,
things.
to track. Yeah. Sounds like it's
Yeah, I
coming from the
guess-
center of her.
The question is the stun condition an ongoing thing, or is it a period of? Does it have a duration?
It's actually not that long, and it has ended by this point.
Okay, as they are like bullshitting, and I have hit this button. I'm trying to crawl out of the cockpit. Is what I am doing on the floor.
Hi everybody,
Yeah,
thanks
do
for
we
the
see
raid.
her?
We are currently in a space station towards the end here, where everybody with a shady past is doing the Spider-Man thing.
PvP.
Not sponsored. Pulling the guns on each other,
We're all-
and
We're all horrible, horrible people.
while fighting off the thing, the thing. So
Yeah.
that's where
Yeah.
we're at currently, everybody. Thanks for the
Do
vote.
we see Blake trying to escape?
You do, but I would say that you're. Is it wise to go
Preemptive.
after Blake instead of perhaps maybe defending yourself? I don't know. There's a choice to be made with
that-
something so deadly so close.
Fine. I pull out my left, or I pick up my left arm and activate the gun implant and shoot at the thing.
You just do the web slinging thing. Lever pops out. Gun
Bisexual finger
appears.
guns activated.
I cast gun. Fire. You're gonna fire at the creature.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have gun on my thing.
Skill. No. Usually it would the weapon itself would actually describe like the amount of damage that it can do, but we can just default to a standard roll and take it from
Well,
there.
it says 12, 8, 4, 2.
Is that earlier? Sam sent me the stats for the gun implant when I found the
For the
hand. Is
gun.
it the same one? I take it.
Yeah, it should be the same one.
Do you have that still, Sam?
Yeah, these aren't rifles, thankfully. Nobody is pulling out the classic Ripley flamethrower, or this may not be much of a fight for longer.
There it is.
Okay. So what am I rolling?
So this would be, it's at the range. Let's see. This is really at the 2-meter range, so you're looking for clubs.
So I need to roll clubs, or I need to pull clubs out of my car?
Pull of clubs.
All right. I have a 3.
And then plus your, is there any like combat-related skill? And this would also be, I believe, with dexterity as well. So you'd add half of your dex bonus, plus if there's any applicable, like, if there is a gun skill.
How about determination? Maybe if I'm determined to shoot it.
I'll take determination for it. Yeah, I'll do
Cool,
it.
'cause
Yeah, I'll do
that
it.
has 7 in it.
That's a kind
That's a cool
DM
explanation.
right there.
That was a cool explanation.
So I'll just that's that, and then half of dex is rounded down as 2.
Okay, that's a pretty good shot. And the Trump was great. It's a pretty good fire. It definitely takes a huge chunk out of it as it sort of squeaks and skitters away. It's actually still following Blake, as Blake has the orange light still on, and Blake is leaving. So it's now rushing like towards you. So Blake is away. Casey and Jesse are together. Taylor is away. Blake, let's cut to you and see what's going on. With now that the creature is essentially chasing you with the controller, and then we'll cut to Taylor to see what Taylor's got going on.
I think I realized I also have opportunistic dash as my skill.
Okay,
So
so
I
you
am
dashed
dashing
opportunistically from the
away.
scene.
Yeah, opportunistically I have fled.
Opportunistic dash. That's so on point.
Yeah, it's so specific. I love it.
That and blatant lie is
So-
very useful.
Right? I also have file complaints, but it hasn't come up yet. But I'm keeping
Okay.
records.
Okay.
So, having gotten out of the room, 2 things, and we can resolve this how you see fit. I want to try and close the cockpit door, thinking to trap the creature in with them, but also hit the button again on the controller to try and stop the noise that's next to me.
So you would just switch it to purple, which would push it away from you, which would be further into the cockpit, right?
Okay.
So keep it in there with them, really. So
That is
you press
that is Blake's intent right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So you press it automatically, no roll required. The roll here will be kind of pressing the door. So in this case, let's do an opposed test. Although Casey and Jesse, you'll roll one together, and both of you will take that combined total as the strength roll here. So an athletics strength roll from all three of you, and let's see if Blake's or Casey
Door
plus
hit a
Jesse's is
button.
higher. I guess I see it as both of you trying to push the button either very hard or very quickly
It's
to
okay.
make sure that it's closed at the same time.
You said athletic strength.
Yeah.
Not incredibly
Ooh.
strong.
Already, Jesse has has beaten Blake, and already just kind of by himself. Clearly, Jesse and Casey don't want to be stuck in with the monster or die.
No idea
Please,
why.
Jesse, how do you stop this from happening?
So I'm gonna get to the button first. Is that how this goes down?
Or press it with more vigor, or press it more
with more
times,
vigor, or
whatever you
press it
feel
last?
is
I don't know.
whatever is strongest for you.
Yeah, I think Jesse. Well, first of all, when Casey pulls out a fucking gun implant from her arm that Jesse hitherto did not know was there, he's like fucking wide-eyed, and he looks at Casey and then like does one of these, like gives her like an up down. It's like, I'll be back, and then runs like fucking sprints to get to the door first, and like gets his arm through. Like he can run quite quick when he turns it on, so he bolts to get out there faster. And jeez, I almost want to shoot Blake, but I don't. I'm gonna say I have
almost
one
wanna
shot
shoot you.
left. I gotta save it. I gotta use that when it's like really necessary. So he's just gonna hold the door like a gentleman for when Casey gets out here.
Yeah, Blake just gets an angry look. Jesse, you have it open. Taylor, what are you up to at this time?
Taylor has gone to the stewardess deck and is for a moment just sort of sitting on a chair, looking at her hands that are covered in blood that is not her own. And she just sort of has like this little like small smile on her face. She looks up at the locker that says out of order. She's like, oh, Taylor, this is going to be a lot more fun than I thought. There's so many things here to play with. Oh, well. We'll just wait a little bit longer. And then they just kind of go over to the sink, wash their hands, get the blood off of themselves, and don a new stewardess outfit. I'm guessing that the ruckus that everyone else is doing is not the quietest.
No, not at all.
There's gunshots.
Oh gosh. Yeah. So
lots of violence.
Lots of violence. After they sort of clean themselves up, taking that breath again before donning that more demure stance. Oh no, I suppose we should go help them. She will walk out of the stewardess deck and go find the others. It's just what's happening?
Out of order indeed. At this point, enough has happened in terms of violence or stress to actually trigger the third memories for each of you. So I'll go down them real quick, see how that changes things, and if it doesn't, we will move into maybe trying to corner either each other or this monster. For Taylor, You are now fully confirmed after seeing something that you stored in the frozen dinner closet that you kept the others out of on the steward deck. You are confirming yourself as the Luna Slasher. In fact, the 7 faces that you keep seeing all game are in fact 7 people that you yourself have slain, and taken their face and their identity, and then become them afterwards. You are now Taylor, but the original Taylor is actually dead in the frozen dinner closet that you walked out of. In fact, you are running from some bounty hunter of some sorts in the Luna port, and you made it on. You thought escaping with some employment, but unfortunately have not, and are still worried about the um, hunter on board. You know that one of them has died, Doug, thankfully, but you know that the last one, you know who the last one is, but you don't know if they know about you. Jesse, you want to capture
Well,
uh, Taylor, but you still can't identify. None of these people look like Taylor, right? And you still haven't necessarily confirmed. Um, you know something's up with the face and the identity not matching, because you've seen the crew logs and you know that there's a different Taylor on deck. But if that's good enough for you or not, I'll let you decide. For me, it could be, but it depends on Jesse.
yeah.
Um, yeah, the essentially, you're worried that the sharp object that you saw Dr. Kravitz killed with, you're wondering if that maybe was Taylor, and you're not exactly sure about it. But more importantly, your contract actually had a very important clause that might affect your current loyalties or not. Um, and I quote, "Don't get involved with Unitech and the Mars faction. In fact, if you have to, put a stop to their horse rather than contributing to it." So that is a direct part of your third memory that may or may not come into conflict with what's currently happening. Moving on, Blake, uh, you know, finally, you understand. Your project, your baby, must come to an end. You must annihilate this creature once and for all, regardless of what Unitech has to say about this. Now, the more important aspect of this is that you finally kind of think about why uh, it didn't work, like why it wasn't safe. Regardless, you know that the safeguards are in place to make, the reason they put them on the ship is because you can actually detach one of the modules from the cockpit. So if you trap the monster in one of the 4 modules, whether that be passenger A or B or cargo A or B, you can, potentially get rid of it that way, right? Um, that's you. And finally, Casey. Casey, you are fully at war with Blake at this point. You have a sort of almost even fanatical problem with this Unitech suit. Um, but mostly because you've already awoken prior, you remember most of your memories, and it's not really a big deal for you at this point. It's just a continuation of what you've already been doing.
And also, I can't have
Okay.
Unitech kill me. And Blake is
No, yeah,
Unitech, therefore.
yeah. There's a definitely a dilemma here. And I'm sorry, I just got to say hi to the wonderful raiders. Hi, Alex. Hi, Lost Caravan. Thank you so much for the wonderful raids. We are definitely at the end of our Alien One recreation here. They are escaping the thing, however, and they all have problems with each other. But not that cone kitty, who is very cute. That cone kitty is actually a nice cat, just like an alien. So that's what we're up
Named
to right
Theta.
now. The party has just gotten the last of their memories, and have fully recovered from stasis sickness and are fully ready to either combat each other or the monster. Um, who would like to give their initial thoughts after their third memory?
My initial thoughts are I'm going to walk towards Blake with my hand pointed at her and just pull the trigger while she's. Because I can't have her live.
Here's the one question I have about that before we resolve it. I hit the button to make the monster go backwards, and the only
It's
backwards was
true.
into the cockpit.
This is true. The monster is with them, and soon the monster will strike. Um, whether I would say probably right after the gunshot happens, the monster will strike. The door was open, so you could, Casey and Jesse can take this opportunity to escape, or they can stay in the same room, fight Blake, but also fight the monster. Um, it's a choice thing.
I would like to attempt to interrupt Casey in that case.
Okay,
To stop
that's actually
Casey
a pretty cool outcome.
Yeah.
So, prior to the weapon die, you do so.
Yeah, I want to try to basically grab Casey and do a. I mean, really, there's professional loyalties here. I don't want to get. I don't want this to escalate. This Unitech Mars Surf thing to escalate any further. But I'm gonna mask it in a bit of, come on, we just got to get out of here. It's not safe. And try to drag Casey away before Casey can cap this corporate executive.
I'm gonna try to yank my arm out, but I'm not as strong, and be like, I have to fucking kill her. If she tells them, they'll come after me.
Can you make yourself disappear?
With the money I get afterwards, yes.
Do the three of you run in the same direction? Because there is a monster right behind you.
Yeah.
Is anybody stopping for a moment?
I honestly think
I am like
that if I was aiming at Blake, I'm pretty sure I'd be dragged the opposite direction of Blake to not shoot.
Which would be, so Blake's at the door and the monster's at the other end. So the other end from Blake would be the monster. I mean, that's okay.
I mean,
the monster
sorry. I thought we were both leaving the room.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's what I'm wondering if that's what's happening. Okay, so if everybody's running out of the room, you kind of walk. The three of you run back out into the central, the ship core, where the gravity is again back to normal, and there is Helga is perfectly fine. Is like, I don't know where you guys went, but I've been with Taylor this whole time. They've been like, I don't know, like hugging me and like talking about my face and stuff. But is everything all right? Yeah, it's like really loud.
Seal the door.
Seal the door?
Not you. Never you. Casey, seal the door.
What?
Door. As quickly as possible, seal the door so that the monster can't get out. Hopefully.
Okay, so Helga
What's
is
going on?
with you. You don't know where Manny is. The four of you are trapped together currently.
What is going on, Taylor?
I didn't know what you're talking about. What are you guys running from?
Deception, Taylor.
Remember how there's this whole monster thing?
It's over there?
Yeah, so it's probably not.
It's over there.
Is something wrong, Jesse? Do you need a snack? I can go get you one from...
Back on the snacks.
He looks
Are you
at
hangry?
Casey. He looks at Casey like, can I, please?
You do you. I don't ask questions.
Thanks. Right answer. He points the finger at Taylor and shoots.
Oh.
What?
All right. The cards. Let's see what happens.
Let the cards decide.
Yeah.
I only have one shot.
In the heart of
so.
It's in the heart of the cards now.
Um.
Taylor, you're definitely going to respond negatively to this gunshot, I'm sure.
Just a little bit.
I imagine.
Can I push Olga in the way?
Oh, fuck.
For purpose.
I would love
Purpose
Gone.
I would love that. I would love for that to be
Oh my god.
an option. Okay, so if you pass Taylor, then you're able to substitute Helga with you. Jesse, if you fire, of course, the damage would still go through. Taylor, if you fail, it'll hit you instead.
Okay.
Let's see if this works.
Here's my guns roll. Holy shit.
Okay.
I have athletics throwing.
I think that would be
a
great.
strength
Yeah, a
check?
thrower in the line of fire.
Thrower. I love this. What? I don't know what you mean. And then you throw a person into the line of
That is
gunfire.
definitely way higher than the 13 TN I had for this. So
With the +1 from my throwing athletics.
yeah, a 17 definitely
Holy
beats
shit.
out this 13. Helga takes all that damage. You know, I will say that because Taylor pushed right in front, unfortunately, it will kind of hit her head area, making her unrecognizable as well. Taylor, the face that you now covet is unfortunately destroyed. So
You ruined it. She's like staring at Holga's body that is on the ground.
this is cursed.
Her face was perfect. It was perfect, and you ruined it.
So you must be the lunar slasher.
I always thought that was a weird name, Luna Slasher. There's an art form to it. Don't just slash willy-nilly. Your face is all right.
Thanks.
Taylor takes a small tentative step towards Jesse.
Can I
Maybe
take out one of my
elbows
2
Casey.
bullets? Oh, yeah.
You
I'll
pass
take out one of
bullets.
my 2 bullets and hand it to Jesse.
Oh, can we do one? Okay.
Nice.
So he's like,
seeing the move,
standing in
can I
front
pull
of
out my
Greene.
gun too?
oh shit,
Okay.
you have a gun too?
Yeah, we do the standoff. Yeah, we do the standoff.
He does-
Jesse,
he's
what are you
doing
up
the
to?
thing where he has his hands behind his back and he's like holding a hand out to Casey like, give me a bullet. I need a bullet.
Slip.
Taylor's
The
still
hand has, like,
slowly walking
servos.
towards you.
Yeah, like clenching. Handing the
While
bullet
this
on
is
the
happening,
hand.
Blake is sort of maneuvering behind Taylor, somewhat to sort of get out of the way of this standoff. Just a little, you could almost say an opportunistic dash.
Use a dash opportunistically to stay
While
away
they're
from
facing-
damage.
While they're facing off, I am aiming for Blake.
You're giving a bullet
Oh.
out of your gun.
I
You've
know,
gotta
but I'm
move
saying
the gun
as
to
they're
do
about
that.
to shoot, I want to do that thing. You'll get to
So-
learn.
I feel like
This is so out of character. This is a great
This is like,
sort of, this is what I want to see personally, but I feel like I must inform you that there is a limited amount of time to deal with these issues amongst yourselves. After an amount of time, the monster will get through, even if the controller is affecting it. So this time can be used for planning, or it can be used for shooting, or it can be used for shooting the others who don't agree with your plan and then doing that plan quickly with no one to oppose you. That choice is up to everyone here.
that one. Let's go with that one. That one sounds good.
Let's go with ding ding ding. Okay.
Ding ding. Yep.
That's
Bing bong.
That's what you're up to. Taylor, what do you say to all this? What's going on with your as you're the last one to pull out your gun?
yeah, I feel like seeing Casey moving beside Jesse, she will also pull out a gun. And has it very lazily in her hand. I believe I have more rounds than you, but I hate using guns. They're just so impersonal.
Impersonal. Yeah.
Yeah. Because when you kill someone, Jesse, I know you've killed before, right? You know what I'm talking about. She takes another step closer. You
Yes,
just,
Taylor, I do.
that excitement you feel when you see that life fade from their eyes, and when you know, that sinking feeling as you push that blade into them, it's so exciting. And the warmth of their blood on your hands. I'm going to take your face, Jesse. I'll be you next. It doesn't matter if we're going to Mars or to the colonies, wherever we're going. You can't hunt me anymore if I'm you. This is so exciting.
That's very flattering, Taylor, but I've grown quite attached to my face. Thank you. Afraid I'm going to have to
Comes
decline.
off quite easily.
And he's like loading the
Have-
round into the gun behind his back.
Behind Taylor?
That'd be like a deception roll. Like,
Yeah,
can
how do I
you
get
notice
away
that
with
he's
this?
like moving his shoulders?
Definitely deception roll.
Very small movements. What should I do?
Deception roll?
Some kind of deception thingy? Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be deception dexterity most likely.
Oh boy.
While this is
probably
happening,
bad.
Blake would like to, from behind Taylor, say, if you shoot Casey, I'll make sure no one can find you.
Oh. Would I do...
Oh fuck.
Oh. Definitely
So,
better
I know.
I've been
than
bad.
Jesse.
So I feel like as Blake whispers that, the gun that has been like lazily in Taylor's hand kind of snaps up. It's like, Jesse, what are you doing? She like lowers the gun. You don't need to do that. But I can do this, I guess. And she pulls the trigger, firing at Casey.
No. So close.
So good.
What do I roll?
Okay.
To avoid
Nothing.
this?
We're rolling. Taylor's rolling damage first. Let's see. Real quick.
Oh,
I mean, the second that Taylor fires, Jesse's gonna like lower into a crouch and run to try to tackle her.
As long as this beats defense.
My defense says 7/15.
Ooh, that doesn't look good.
Guns is one of my highest stats.
See that?
Gun is my best stat.
My healing word is gun.
Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, I believe that's 18 damage.
Fuck.
What the
Sorry,
fuck?
I
How
was
do you,
mistaken.
like,
21.
how do you negate that? Like, what's the point of my
So
what's the point of my defense?
Yeah, it was higher than the defense, so
Oh,
that's that roll. Yeah, basically it broke through your AC, and then you take the damage. So
I don't
let's
know
take
how much
that,
health I have.
Ooh,
I don't know
let's
where
check
that
real
is.
quick.
Like, I see wound. And I have
Yeah,
edge.
was that a
Yeah,
wound?
when you
Yeah,
say-
was it one
edge
of
for
those
anything?
wound-based systems?
yeah, like well, there are wounds, so you will take wounds, but there is like a certain like benchmark that you like have to get to before like a wound is applied, and then that like kind of decides
Yeah.
like the
Right.
severity of the wound.
So your defense is 7/15, you said?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So shooting above a 7, the 7 is like the TN, like I have to hit above that. And then the second number is like if I go above that, that's a crit.
Oh,
Oh,
it was a crit.
Mm-hmm.
I see.
Yeah. So you could actually, I don't know the system as well, do a dodge reaction with like, yeah, I'll let you, Anthony, sorry.
No, yeah, you're good. Everybody does have a reaction. You It says that you double your. Well, I'm reading it, and apparently it's more so for doubling a cover bonus to defense. All it really does is kind of increase your defense by a little bit. So you can, yeah, it's just increasing your cover bonus to your defense. So that would apply to both the lower one and the above one. Is your cover bonus? I think your cover bonus is 2 right now, so it would be like 9 and 17, but the damage would still the guns roll is still higher than that. So the critical roll still happens even with the dodge reaction. At this point, Taylor, you can decide what you want your critical hit to do, whether that be a dazing hit, a disarm, a vital hit for double damage, and so on. And then we can determine the number of wounds.
I mean, probably a vital hit. They're not trying to disarm them. They're just trying to get rid of them.
Oh, okay, yeah, just verifying that the murder is the goal here. That's fine.
The murder is the goal.
The murder is the goal.
Fucking something I can do.
Yeah, so this is a critical wound. Casey can take 1 more wound prior to essentially falling.
Where did
The minute
I get
she pulled the trigger, I went to go tackle Taylor. So I'd like to roll that.
Yep, roll the tackle. So the fire went off, Casey. You're still up. You just have that critical wound, and so there's like penalties to your rolls, amongst other issues.
So just melee attack.
Yeah, just I think a melee attack would be appropriate, and so we can deal some damage in there as well. Since the tackle is not meant to be like a light tackle, it's meant to be like a, against the wall tackle.
All right, that's a lot of numbers. 20 in total.
Okay, still pretty solid. What's your defense, Taylor? Is it?
My defense is. I have no idea. It's not on here.
Top right corner and roll 20.
Yeah, it's empty. I don't have a defense.
That's wild.
We can just default to whatever defense we're using.
Yeah.
Just default to the one.
It's
Casey was
817.
715.
There we go. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
817.
817. Okay. 817 is pretty solid. It's still not good enough though. If you wanted to dodge to double your cover reaction, that might bring you up to 19. But still, unless your cover is higher than that.
I feel like they're so in the throes of like having shot Casey and focusing on that target for the moment that they don't try to dodge out of the way of Jesse.
Gotcha.
Just standing there in the.
Casey will like grab her.
Fuck! Ow! God.
It's a critical wound on Taylor as well. So 4 wounds for Taylor.
Oh.
1 wound remaining.
With my bare hands.
Their head just like knocks perfectly back against like.
Yeah. No, I think it's pretty brutal. Like he's going for death here. So I think it's like tackle and like do that thing where he like grabs you by the shoulders and like bashes your head into the ground. He's trying to kill you.
Immediately 2 of our party members, quote unquote, are down for the count. Essentially, right? Any more damage either one receives is essentially a death. Already there's penalties to pretty much all rolls from here on out, I believe, of -3. So it's already pretty bad.
And it's a. You said I got a crit, right? So
Indeed.
I get to choose
you
what
got
that
the crit.
does.
Yeah, no, I was taking into account if that was also a vital hit, also for double damage.
No, I want to disarm.
Disarm. Okay.
I want to
So
get
it'll
that gun out
it'll
of
be
her
a
hand.
severe wound. It'll be a severe one then. So that'll be it'll be 3 instead of 4. So -2, and it's not as bad. However, you are disarmed. So the gun is out of your hand though.
This is definitely one of those cool gun skitters across the floor thing, and then we both look at it
Yeah.
and then go to run. I'm definitely diving for that gun.
Well,
All right.
and a third.
Yeah, that's
And
what I
Blake.
thought.
Awesome.
Yeah, this is what I'm gonna say. I will say that for Blake, it's actually closest. So it will be the easiest roll will be for Blake. But Taylor, I'm sorry, you're gonna say something there.
Oh, Taylor's not going for the gun. She's gonna hold on to Jesse, like his face, and like her nails are gonna like dig in to like
Oh no!
the outside of his face.
Your face got so close.
We
to
are
her.
having intense eye contact right now.
Not for long. This
And
is
she's just like
cursed.
smiling up at you. She's holding your face.
No.
Is this
I
meant to be
suppose
an
I could
attack?
take it off with my hands. Yes. I mean, she's
Okay,
just
yeah.
trying. She's just digging her hands into his face.
I'm gonna go ahead and let's do I mean this is clearly shaping up to be Oberyn versus the Mountain. So let's let's not shy away from it. That sounds great. You can go ahead
I'll roll some
and roll.
fists.
Yep. Some I'll roll punch. I cast punch.
I cast nails.
Ooh.
How do we do? Woof! Oh god.
Pretty bad. It's equally bad, honestly, for you, Jesse. This is
My
Jesse,
defense
what's
is
your
an
defense?
816.
816. This still passes it. So this is already this is a crit.
This is a third crit.
We're all critting each other.
Taylor?
it's the end, right? Yeah,
Is this
her
final hit?
nails are just sinking in. Yeah, into that soft flesh. I'm
That's
gonna
it.
take your face.
Oh, it's a critical
You are-
wound on Jesse's face.
Oh, you gave me another cool scar. I've got like cool nail marks down my face now. You are fucking creepy. And he's gonna try to elbow her. Oh wait, no, I lied because I'm trying to go for that gun. I wanted that gun.
Yeah,
I'll take that back. I was going
exactly.
after that.
At this point, Blake, let's do Blake and Jesse. You roll at the same time. Casey, you can roll your secret action, and we'll see how it resolves if it's pretty high.
Secret action. Okay, so what should I roll here to? What should I roll to reach for a gun?
I think in athletics, speed athletics or athletics dexterity would be equally equally good ideas.
Okay.
Whatever you think is highest tuned for fast.
Yes, for fast.
Pretty good fast roll from Blake.
Okay, how about what's better? Dexterity. It's not the best roll from Jesse.
No, so okay.
Oh boy.
Okay. Blake, you pick up the gun.
Yes.
No buts about it. Casey, you fire on Taylor with your last bullet.
I forgot.
You rolled exceptionally well, so even with a penalty, it still hits. I mean, these are great draws, everybody. So. Would roll your damage, Casey, and let's see what happens.
Haven't done that yet. Hold on. Damage. We're at.
So it'd be like a new guns. It'd be a new guns attack roll.
Oh, that's okay. I don't have that technically built on, so I just roll what I just rolled again?
Yeah, that sounds fine. And then I'll add on like your bonuses. One more time, Taylor. Your defense was 18. You said.
Yes.
Okay, this will beat your defense, so this will be a crit. Casey, this will be the death kill for Taylor. Please, both of you.
Yes.
How does this go down?
My hand shakily goes up as I debate between attacking Blake and attacking Taylor, and knowing if Jesse survives, I have a chance. I shoot Taylor directly in her smiling face as she's trying to claw.
Poor old Jesse. Taylor, what do you say, do prior to this and or after?
I feel like just in those like tense moments before she's shot, like her fingers are just digging in even further into Jesse's face, just pulling, like literally trying to rip his skin from his face. And she's just smiling. She's like, this is gonna be great, Jesse. We're going to just be together and it's gonna be fantastic. And then she just gets shot and her hands just go slack, like pulling like those little bits of flesh with it.
Jesse just like slumps back onto the floor, just like he's got fingernail bits like in his skin, so he just like and he's just bleeding profusely from the face, looking kind of dead to the world. For these that fucked him up pretty good. So
Yeah, Casey and Jesse have the same number of wounds. You're both in critical condition, essentially. Taylor, unfortunately, the Luna Slasher has perished.
Rip.
Rip. Blake, you're right there with a gun, with
Okay.
two people with no bullets on the floor writhing, essentially.
I am absolutely holding the gun
So
on
bad.
them. It's sort
So
of.
cursed.
And I'm looking between the two of them. I have now clocked that Casey is one of those Mars serve whack jobs who has fucked up my entire testing project and gotten me in this position. And I don't know who the fuck Jesse is, but he's not supposed to be here, and he's also fucked up my variables. And I say, addressing the two of them, I can either shoot you, or you can help me get Theta into a pod and eject it. And I'm using my bargaining persuade, which is another skill of mine.
Roll it and let's see how persuasive you are. And then Casey and
I hope
Jesse,
I'm very persuasive.
you can determine if this is enough to persuade you or not. It's pretty good, actually. It's pretty amazing, honestly.
Yeah.
oh
Look
shit!
how persuasive you are when you have a
It's
gun
like a
in your
20
hand.
it's like
I
a
can
22
see everyone
persuasion.
has
Yeah.
these.
The gun adds a
22
lot to
persuasion
your
plus-
mystique.
The whole fact that
I feel
I'm
really
bleeding out right
powerful
now.
with this.
Yeah, the whole fact that I'm bleeding out right now, I'm like, sure, yeah. Can I get a
Very
bandage,
amenable.
please?
You can get a bandage once Theta has been neutralized. Okay, and I'm forcing them back towards the cockpit because I've still got the controller on purple, so it should be at least somewhat repelling Theta from the controller.
Yeah, it's still in the cockpit. So essentially, what you'd have to do is sort of turn on the orange to get it to come towards you, and then turn on the purple to push it towards another one before it gets to you. Now, which one would be dependent, like which pod you put it in. You could be nice and send it to a different one, or maybe if you want to, I don't know, you don't like Manny, you want to put it in passenger module A because he's seen too much. He may or may not still be there. His wife definitely
And he
isn't,
might be disposable.
thanks to Taylor. So
Yeah, I things probably aren't looking good for Manny, but Blake isn't. Blake is not quite a full sociopath, so I think the plan, the plan that I would do is to keep these two yahoos with me under
Uh-huh.
the gun, so to speak, literally, and
so to
have us
speak.
form a path so that if I flip the controller, Theta comes to me. I flip it the other way, and we angle so that Theta goes back into passenger B,
Gotcha. So
where it
they're
was
bait.
supposed to be this entire time.
They're like bleeding out, and you're holding a gun to them. You're like, hey, get
Yeah,
closer to that
I
hallway.
have. Yeah, as much as like I need to roll forward, I have forced Casey and Jesse over to be on the opposite sides of the doorway of passenger B so that they can close it once Theta goes in.
Okay, pretty great idea, honestly. And
So
the two of
that's
them
the
one can be at a separate door in case he goes into a different pod. So far you have a 2 out of 4 chance or a coins toss that he goes into the pod that you'd like, and there's at least one person at the module, at the controls, willing to close the door. As long as so Jesse and Casey, you seem to be okay with this, and you get one last moment to talk amongst yourselves before you enact this plan.
Did you just hear that sound? What was that?
Oh yeah, there's it's monsters in the vents. It's clearly
Oh
waiting for
god,
you.
I hate that. He like feels around the edges of his face where Taylor tried to fucking rip it off. That was my contract. And he points to the corpse with like its fucking head blown off that Casey shot. So my work here's done.
This was a brand new ship, and I can't believe not only have I got spies, serial killers, I also had drug smugglers. What the fuck is going on at Luna?
I have no idea, but you didn't list bounty hunters among that, so I guess I'm not a problem.
You're just one more variable, and just need to do damage control. And right now I need you, so you're lucky.
Yeah, I'm real lucky. As he's like wiping the blood off of his head. That's me, Lucky Jesse.
Well, you better hope that luck
So what's your
holds.
plan?
I click the button to summon the monster.
Oh fuck.
Effectively, I say this, and I click it back to yellow.
What the fuck is that thing? What did you freaks fucking make?
What we made was a top-of-the-line, transmutable, near indestructible, perfect weapon. Well,
The clicking
almost
gets louder.
perfect. We're going to have to go back to the drawing boards. I am shifting so that it has to come through and be visible before it can reach me.
Oh, I hate that sound.
I'm going
So close to perfect.
I'm going to give Jesse a look and just nod, like, let's just get this done. Okay. And I wait until the monster comes out, following Blake's plan, of course.
To a T.
Blake, whenever you're ready.
Okay, so I have pulled the monster to me. I wait to get just enough so that when I click it back to repel, it doesn't want to go back down the hallway to the cockpit. It wants to go a different direction.
As soon as it touches you, as soon as you click this, or rather, I should say, take it back a bit, as you are about to press the purple button, Casey has done a no-no and has cracked as a secret action during the speech. Casey has changed the gravity in the opposite direction as soon as the monster gets right on top of you. So when you press purple, it'll actually go closer towards you rather than away from you.
Amazing.
And then Jesse tries to run up behind Blake and kick her into the monster. Like put his boot in her back like Leonidas in 300 and feed her to this thing.
Okay, let's see how this works out. So the critically wounded person pushes
not
Blake or
great.
tries to push Blake. So let's do another melee, right? Let's do another tackle. Let's see how this goes.
So I should have how many
I will-
wounds right now? 3?
4.
Oh, okay. And then
So
we'll
4
do
out
a
of
melee
5 wounds
attack.
for
So.
everybody. Yeah. So
I'm
4 out
pulling
of 5
myself
wounds
back
for,
into the cockpit.
for Casey and Jay. Let's see how this turns out first.
I didn't think that's where you
Oh,
were.
oh, that was guns. Shit, I hit the wrong one. Fuck.
It was guns. It was really good though. It was really good.
That was a really good roll.
Already a
That was.
crit.
Oh, that's not terrible.
No, it's still a crit. Okay, so this is a crit on Blake. This is a lot of damage. This will be a critical wound if double damage and a severe if not.
Yeah, it's critical. Yeah, definitely vital hit.
Okay. Vital. Pushing into the monster. The monster hasn't taken a swipe yet. It's hungry. It really is. It's going to attack the closest person to it. Blake, that's going to be first.
Okay.
Oh boy. Okay. Does a 27 count as a critical hit?
Yeah, I should think so.
I should think so. Blake, I will, if you want to, I will give you the honor of describing how Blake is consumed by said monster.
I like to think Blake as a character ends exactly how I sort of conceived her to be, which is very similar to the lawyer in Jurassic Park, in that she is shitting herself, dies screaming, and has her head bitten off.
By an unknown monster.
Amazing.
The monster goes to town munching on Blake's corpse as Jesse and Casey seemingly, I'm guessing, hobble to the
cockpit.
back to the cockpit. Blake, unfortunately, serving one last duty in the line of Unitech.
Give it all for Unitech.
As fully seeing, feeding, and growing her creation to the nth degree. At this point, it's in the ship's core, and nobody picked up the controller. It's in the center of the ship, with no noticeable way to push it into one of the other rooms. It will eventually stop eating, will be done with Blake, and go back to, to attack Jesse and Casey. You have a moment to discuss amongst yourselves before, it tries to attack once again.
Okay, 2 questions. One, are there any easily seen medical supplies? And 2, is there a way to open up the airlocks to eject everything that's not inside of this room?
That's a great idea. I like that idea.
First of all, definitely, especially from here. Second of all, there is a wound station, or like a med bay for both of you. and it would reduce wounds by 2. So both of you would go down to 2 wounds only.
Okay, so
Instead
I
of 5.
say I have an idea. Just I need a second, and I will like hobble over to the main computer because I don't think I have time to. Well, how fast does the wounds thing heal?
Oh no, it's
Is it like a
immediate. You
slow-
can do it. Yeah, you can do it
Okay,
without too much
I will
damage.
do
Oh,
that first.
That's dope.
Heal the 2 wounds, so I'm only at 2, and then go back to the main computer and attempt to hack it to open up all of the. Basically, my assumption is if I release B, then that door, if that door is not closed, it will get sucked out. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, that's actually an
So
extremely valid way to deal with it.
I am going to
But
try that.
Manny is
then.
screwed. Like that dude is not gonna
Fuck
That's
Manny.
totally
I don't
not
care
my
about Manny.
concern.
So is this a cracking?
Fucking Manny.
You look at the intercom, I imagine next to you, able to broadcast to any portion of the ship. Think about warning him and just continue with your hacking.
He complained too much.
Yeah, it's over. Nikki, this is a successful hack of the computer, especially after doing this earlier on. Please describe how you and Jesse shoot this alien monster out into the void and stare at it outside of the window, closing the doors and then retaking the ship for yourselves.
I type into the computer and I'm like, okay, seal this door, unseal this door, and hit enter, as all the computer people do, and just I was like, now watch out the window, and then there's a loud noise as you hear the disengage of the B room and the loud suction outside as Blake's body and the monster gets sucked out.
Yeah, just like a
And
loud
possibly
a
Manny
shriek.
and a bunch of other people.
Yeah, it's
Totally
like
seeing
it goes
Manny.
exactly how you said.
And just like
Yeah,
avert your eye.
I didn't see anything.
It's a shrill shriek that lowers in volume, eventually gets sucked out. You see a frozen mass of flesh rolling out amongst other bodies that were kept around. You even see a frozen person floating with a uniform that says Taylor Chew on it. It seems like Taylor had left the freezer door open, and the body had actually floated out as well. The suction was that powerful.
Oops.
So one of Taylor's 10-month-old victims, a dead alien monster, other dead bodies that, like Dr. Kravitz's that weren't consumed. And then finally, yeah, when Manny rolls by, Jesse does not look at Manny and just lets Manny roll on by. Casey's like, I don't know. Casey Spenner and JC Bowdain have retaken control of the UT-389 Metis. The ship is now yours as you continue to sail to Mars. Jesse to pick up your nearest payment and Casey to report back to the servers. This is a successful mission for the both of you. And Unitech member Blake was not remembered as the corporation treats all their employees as expendable. And Taylor's bounty was actually told throughout the land as almost having claimed an 8th face. That's where we'll leave it off for tonight. But
I am
no,
definitely
I want to hear this
retiring
first.
after this.
No, I want to hear this first.
I am retiring after I report.
When you got into the computer system earlier, you deleted everything on yourself, didn't you?
Yes. And my interaction with the navigation system and myself on the video camera and my proof that I was woken up 3 hours earlier than everybody else. There is no rumor about me on that ship.
I didn't tell you this part, but my employer had very strict instructions that I wasn't to get involved with you people.
Well, I guess I'm glad you took special interest and made an exception. Because I'm retiring, because
Yeah.
I'm exhausted and tired of being shot at by Unitech.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna need you to delete a few more files for me.
Yeah, sure. I change anything that was activated to anything that mentioned Jesse. I changed to Blake's name so that Blake did all of the bad things, and
Yeah.
then any mention of a person inside of it was changed to like a John Doe.
That'll do. So Mars then?
I hear it's beautiful this time of year.
All right. Let's go find out. Just as soon as I fix this hole in my stomach.
We go off in the sunset.
Yeah,
The med bay.
The eternal,
Off
the
in the
eternal
med bay to
sunset,
finish healing.
off to the med bay, and then eventually back to stasis. A correction then, Unitech not only found Blake expendable, but they actually had worker initiatives after the fact that were meant to cut down on the chances of their workers going rogue, as is the case of the extremely embarrassing Blake. That just went up, and in the camera's mind, Taylor pushing Helga was Blake. Blake, let go, deleted all the information, rerouted, put the subroutine. It was all Blake, and it's just like bad
Blake's family
Photoshop.
did
They're
not
like,
get
oh,
a pension.
yeah,
Nothing.
oh,
There was
well,
no
I mean,
no funeral coverage.
yeah, exactly. Well,
She
they didn't even go.
She
Yeah,
got
they didn't
me
even go.
shot.
They
I'm
were disgraced.
I hold grudges.
So, as you guys go off and feel good about what you did, Manny's still,
I don't know.
fingers up with his juice box in space floating, as we will end it off for tonight. Wow, what a ridiculous, basically first session for Shadows over Soul. Um, over stasis, out of stasis was a fantastic first adventure for something like this, and I loved seeing the unique ways that you guys handled it and took it, especially the airlock thing. That was super cool. There were so many backstabs and shoots. I just loved it. It was such an amazing time. So thank you everybody for
Sorry
joining us
for
for another
killing
one
you
shot.
guys.
No,
Sorry, we
good.
killed
That's
everyone, and then we got
sometimes it
escape.
has to happen. But alas,
In
although
character, I'm not out of character. I am.
yeah, exactly. Although the characters might be dead, we are not. So, hi everybody. This is Weave the Tales One Shot Wednesday. For this week, my name was Anthony. He/him pronouns. You can find me on Twitter at PrainnthePlague. I stream Symborum on Monday, where I play in a game on Mondays at 8:30 Eastern, and I run Blue Rose here also on Weave at 9 o'clock Eastern on Fridays again. Again, sometimes I'm also here for One Shot Wednesdays, whether that be playing or running. So catch me here for Weave the Tale for some more goodies. Back to our wonderful cast in the same way that we started. Let's go with Sam playing the amazing Taylor.
It's me. Hi guys.
With
I
blood.
played Taylor with blood, grayed out because I died. Did not get to take any faces or murder. I'm very so disappointing.
So
Guys,
sorry.
if you, I know, right? If you want to play games, if you want to chat, hit me up at Scribbling Penny on Twitter. I'm always around. You can catch me on Sunday playing Age of Ashes over on Penny for a Tale. On Monday, I am also in the Symbarum campaign with Anthony and Ian, who's the wonderful GM, Pope, Paul. Just basically all the GMs this season are in that one. And then I snuck on because I was like, hey guys, you look cool, in my awkward way. Other than that, I'm usually behind the scenes on everything, but I just love everything TTRPG related. So just follow Weave the Tale on Twitter for all the up-to-date stuff, and make sure you tune in March 2nd for our next charity stream. bit of fitting color of change. So more details to come.
A lot more charity streams happening on Weave the Tail, and we love to see it. Please show up and donate if you can, contribute if you can, but also just spread the word and come watch some charity games. At the last charity stream, I left it on for like 8 hours, and then I went about my normal day, and I would just tune in. It was a new game or a heightened moment, such as the many found in Shadows over Soul today. So check it out. Thanks again for teching, Sam. Always wonderful. And then moving on to Colin, who played the wonderful Jesse, who did not die. It was very touch and go there, but did not die.
Did not die. Real close. Also, every time I've been playing and GMing for 15, 16 years now or something like that. Every time I think I'm going to remember, don't do a fucking character with a low gravelly voice because your throat is going to be destroyed after 3 hours of doing that shit. And then I go and do it, and then I have a guy who sounds like this for 3 hours, and now I'm just but a complete success for old Taylor, except for the part where he nearly died. But now I get like, I got the job done. Killed. I mean, I didn't technically do it. Casey did, but my mark is done, so I get to collect the money. That's nice. And I think I got a date out of the deal too. So like everybody wins. This is amazing.
That's kind of what I was
that
getting
was so
to.
much fun. Hell yeah,
it worked out pretty great.
Oh please. Fantastic. That was so much fun, and yeah, I love a game like this that's just like literally like all intrigue and backbiting and like backstabbing. As long as everyone's like down for that from the beginning, that's like one of the most fun things to play. I love doing that. So that was so much fun. Thank you guys. I am Colin. I am at Colonomicon on Twitter, and then also at Six String Games, which is what you see above me. The two Twitter handles is because I do my own stuff, stream under my own name and stuff, but then also I run a game company with my friend Anna. We are called Six String Games, and we have a lot of shit. But there's new Six String Game stuff coming out constantly because we put out a brand new TTRPG every single month, because we work ourselves to death. So we just put out in February Ray Cats, which was hilarious, and we just ran it here last week. And then next month, it's one of two games. We still haven't decided yet, but I'll just tell you the really quick pitch on both of them. One is my game that, like, my pet project game, which is called Altitude. That's about climbing Mount Everest and surviving on Mount Everest that we're playtesting right now. It's a survival horror game. And then the other one is a Blair Witch Project inspired game called The Trees Tell No Tales. That is a found footage horror game of people going in the woods and getting lost and having their cameras found years later down the road. Really, really stoked for that. So we have a Patreon, so if you're one of our patrons, you get a new game every month, including cool physical zine copies that we send to you and sign and stamp and everything. So check it out. So it's patreon.com/sixstringgames. We're Six String Games on Twitter. Find out everything we're doing there. We're Six String Games on itch. Look us up and see what we're doing. The only other thing I do is I stream Monday nights on Infinite RP, where I play Flames of Freedom with a fantastic cast of Pleatville. And then on Fridays on Valdrianth at 4, I do a game of Heartbeats in Perfect Sync, where I play a really, really nice boy who's possessed by a demon. And it's an incredibly fun, very silly show. So yeah, check it out. That's me. Thank you so much, guys. This was fantastic. Want to do it again. Would play with all of you again in a heartbeat.
Spoiler alert, I am playing Altitude soon, and I am going to try to run it on this channel, so keep an eye out for that. It is a lot of fun. I used to do a lot of climbing in college, so I really like the idea of a game like that. It's a lot of fun. So keep an eye out for that. Next up, we have the wonderful Nikki playing Casey, who went by for a really long time unscathed until she didn't.
Very end. That was a lot of fun, though. And I'm glad I got to get my flirt on because that was the goal the entire time. Anyway, so I am Nikki. I am the owner of Beholdertonoone that has 3 shows, discussions, one-shots, and an actual play. The one-shots are usually non-D&D based, very similar to the Wednesday games here. So I am loving playing on the Wednesday games here, as well as participating in my own. You can find me here on both Tuesdays and Fridays currently in both Shadowrun games. Tuesday is Escape of Aslan, and then Friday is Words, Fireflies, something. I can't remember words because it's Spring of the Fireflies. That's the name. And on most Friday evenings, you can find me on 2000 Tales on Twitch playing a Monster of the Week game. We just started our 6-week hiatus, so we will be back in 6 weeks. So tomorrow I will be here again playing Blue Rose. So I'm excited about that with our GameMaster. So I'm excited.
See us for some Blue Rose.
Other than that, on Sunday, you can find me on The Lost Caravan playing Scum and Villainy with Hooper. And on Tuesday, you can also find me on Play Nerd Allies playing a evil black dragon that I get to try to kill the party with, and I'm excited. So you should come watch that at 4 p.m. right before the Shadowrun game. I have a lot more stuff, but you can find that on Beholdertonoone. I'll let somebody else go now.
Drop it. It's so much. It's awesome. No, that's great. And definitely not last but not least, Kat playing Colby, the Unitech shill that unfortunately almost made it, but unfortunately did not.
I regret that I have only one life to give for Unitech. But this was an incredible blast, an incredible privilege to play with you guys. Thank you so much for letting me join. I hope to continue to play with you guys in the future on all spaces on the internet. You can find me at Cat Scarlet on Twitter for any up-to-date information on that at this time.
Check it out. Follow all these people. So much stuff to do in the TTRPG space. You love to see it. Thank you all, everybody, for joining us for another One Shot Wednesday. Hope you enjoyed Shadows Over Soul, and make sure to catch all our respective things. And again, follow these people on Twitter. Bye, everybody.